this game and next week, but they'll need some help to be one of the 3 wild card teams in the playoffs coming up. And good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton along with my partner Merlin Olsen. Who would have thought that Tampa Bay would still be alive? Minnesota and Green Bay are eliminated. They had a coaching change, and the Buccaneers right now are feeling very good about themselves.
Well, Richard Williamson has put the fun back in football for them, and he got a couple of Christmas presents today. He said, I know it's going to be cold. We worry about the wind and the wet. It's not windy and it's not that wet out there. They'll be able to throw the ball today.
And they're having a lot of fun. You're right. Now the Chicago Bears have won the division. However, they've lost 3 of their last 4. What's their concern today, Merlin?
Mike Ditka's biggest concern, the Bears are not playing playoff quality football. He said we've got to put the ball in the end zone offensively. We can't just score field goals.
The Bears will have the chance first. Steve Christie will kick off for Tampa Bay. Dennis Gentry and Johnny Bailey are back deep. This is the coldest game that the Buccaneers have ever had to play. It is under 10 degrees as we begin. And the kick will be taken by Johnny Bailey. Bailey gets free. And a good open field tackle at the 35-yard line by Ricky Reynolds. Mike Tomczak making his first start of the season, although this is his 10th appearance overall. Jim Harbaugh out with a separated shoulder and out for the season. Up front for the Bears, Jim Covert, Mark Bortz, Jay Hilgenberg, Tom Thayer, and Keith Van Horn. James Thornton, the tight end. Mark Green in for Neil Anderson in the backfield with Brad Muster, Wendell Davis, and Rod Morris, the wide receivers. And the give is to Brad Muster on the first play of the game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensively. 3-man front with Reuben Davis, Willie Wyatt, and Jim Scow back in the lineup after being on injured reserve. The linebackers in the best part of this defense by far. Broderick Thomas, Eugene Marv, Winston Moss, and Keith McCants. The secondary for Tampa Bay, Ricky Reynolds and Wayne Haddix will be going to the Pro Bowl. Harry Hamilton and Mark Robinson, the hard-hitting safety. 2nd down and 7 for the Bears. That's Richard Williamson in his 2nd game as head coach. Play action, and Tomczak, who likes to throw, incomplete, was going for the tight end Jim Thornton. Mark Robinson was defending.
When you bring Mike Tomczak into the lineup, you bring in a better throwing arm than Jim Harbaugh had. And of course that's important if you're playing against defenses that have been bringing their safeties up, trying to control the running game. Tomczak not afraid to put that ball downfield. He'll try and stretch this Tampa Bay defense with the pass game today.
It'll be 3rd down and 7. 4 wide receivers in for the Bears, and Tomczak's throw is tipped and intercepted. Harry Hamilton will bring the ball back to the Bears 31. Wendell Davis was the intended receiver. And the crowd does not like this start at all. A 27-yard return by Hamilton.
The Bucs picking up where they left off last week. This pass will be tipped by Haddix. It's rifled too high over the receiver's head. Watch how high. Davis has to go right there. Misses that ball. Davis actually tipped that ball right into the hands of Harry Hamilton. 8 turnovers last week from this Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense. They started off with 1 here today.
Hamilton's 4th interception of the year and a first down on the Chicago 31. Vinny Testaverde, the quarterback. Reggie Cobb fumbles, and the Bears may get it back. They do. Sean Gale with a fumble recovery. So 2 turnovers in the first 2 minutes of play.
A crazy beginning to this game. Watch the dive right there. That ball. And hard to see from that angle, but the ball loose before. I think the first thing on Reggie Cobb to hit the ground was his head. His helmet cracked the ground, the ball loose, and the Bears, well, they're going to review that one.
Sean Gale not only recovered it, but he forced the fumble as well. And having a phenomenal season. There is the referee Bob McElwee working today's game, and Gale did not make the Pro Bowl. Rookie Mark Carrier did, but Mike Ditka was all full of praise for Gale, who's had a terrific year when we talked with him yesterday.
Moved over to that strong safety position, has really been an enforcer today. Testaverde.
After further review, the play stands as called.
Only a brief opportunity on the field, and they will turn the ball back to the Bears. But on a cold day like today, you lose the feeling out of your hands. Very difficult to hang on to the football.
It's a 1st and 10 for the Bears on the 30-yard line. 2 tight ends, including James Coley. It's all the Bears have are 2 tight ends today. And with his first carry is Mark Green, and he gets tripped up in the backfield by Mark Robinson. So the 2 veteran safeties have made good plays, and Green has got to carry it today in Neil Anderson's absence.
Anderson, a 1,000-yard rusher. If this were a playoff game, he would be in the ball game today. But Mark Green has stepped in for him. Ditka says we've got to keep Neil Anderson, keep him ready for the playoffs, even next week. Ditka not expecting to put him on the field. But Green, they have a lot of confidence in him. They'll give him an opportunity today.
2nd down and 12. Tomczak has time, and his pass is incomplete, intended for Wendell Davis. Keith McCants did a great takedown, but it was clearly incomplete on the high toss, and it'll be 3rd down.
McCants finally getting a chance to play. He's going to do a little body slam work here. That's close to getting you a penalty. And all 3 of Tomczak's passes have been high. They've all taken off on him. He's having trouble today.
Think it's fun to be slammed down on that frozen turf like that?
That's like concrete down there. That is like concrete.
3rd down and 12. Bears on their 28-yard line. Tomczak's pass dropped. That was Wendell Davis. He had it covered by Rodney Rice, a nickelback, but he couldn't hold on, and that will bring up 4th down, and the Bears will kick.
Tomczak, a better deep passer than Harbaugh, and they've asked him early to get the ball downfield. Ditka angry. He thought that Rodney Rice had pushed on the receiver before that ball arrived.
Willie Drury will return for Tampa Bay. Maury Buford will kick for the Bears.
Buford told me kicking the football today is like kicking a suitcase full of rocks. It's that hard on a cold day.
A suitcase full of rocks.
I don't think I want to kick one.
Great illustration. High kick. Bearcats called for by Drury on his 42-yard line. So we have had each team turn the ball over. And now Tampa Bay will start out in a strange beginning in a scoreless game in Chicago. Tampa Bay with the ball, and let's take a look at their offensive front. Paul Gruber, Tom McHale, Randy Grimes, Ian Beckles, Rob Taylor, the offensive line. Ron Hall is the tight end. That offensive line is intact again. Gary Anderson not starting right now. John Harvey is. Reggie Cobb, the other running back, with Mark Carrier and Bruce Hill, the wide receivers.
They're worried about Anderson. He's wearing a flak jacket to protect those ribs and has had trouble hanging onto the football when he has to wear that jacket.
Cobb is the one running back. Harvey, the running back, is split out to the left. Pass to Cobb out of the backfield. The whistle had blown. No fumble. Jim Morrissey makes the tackle and a gain of 5 yards. Chicago Bears defense, and they're injury depleted. Trace Armstrong, William Perry, Dan Hampton back after missing 2 games, and Richard Dent, the defensive line. Mickey Pruitt is in for Rivera, who is out. Ron Rivera, injured last week. Mike Singletary, the middle linebacker. Jim Morrissey, the other backer. Donnell Wolford and Vesty Jackson are the cornerbacks. Rookie Mark Carrier and Sean Gale are the safeties. 2nd down and 5 at the 47.
We've got 5 defensive linemen in the game for the Bears, a new alignment that Tampa Bay has not seen.
And Testaverde completes the pass anyway, and it's a 1st down to Mark Carrier. Vesty Jackson covering in a gain of 16 yards. into Bear territory.
They're the 5 men. Here's Dent standing up, and 1, 2, 3, 4 other linemen. One linebacker, Singletary, right here. And watch Dent get the good shot right here on Testaverde. But that's an alignment specifically designed because of the injuries to the linebackers. And tragically, Fred Washington was to play an important role in that lineup.
He was. So Terry Price, another rookie, is in there in his stead. 1st and 10 on the 37-yard line. John Harvey breaks free. And Harvey gets inside the 25-yard line. Vesty Jackson makes the stop and a gain of 13 yards. So John Harvey, who is playing in place of Gary Anderson, found an opening.
Harvey, who is not as big as Anderson, 185-pounder, but very quick. He looks like he's in major speed. Everybody else kind of tiptoeing out there on a field that is getting more and more difficult to stand up on. You see everybody kind of up on the balls of their feet. That field is frozen.
But the Buccaneers are driving. 1st down on the 24. Harvey up the middle. And Harvey gets good yardage, about 9 yards that time, as he went right straight through the defensive line. Sean Gale and Mark Carrier on the stop. There's the man in the flak jacket, Gary Anderson, on the Buccaneers sideline.
Said that his ribs were still very sore, but this cold would help. He said they'll be numb in this cold. Well, right now he's got to be pleased to see his understudy, John Harvey, making some big gains, establishing the running game for the Bucs.
2nd down and 1. Harvey gets the 1st down. And the Tampa Bay offensive line is doing a terrific job, and they are just pushing back the Chicago Bears' famed defensive line. And they're intact, as we said, with McHale back in there at left guard.
When McHale started the season, played the first few ball games, was in training camp, suddenly he's out of the lineup. They've actually had 4 guards in that left guard position. Getting him back in has kind of established the continuity again. And on that side with Gruber, they are big horses.
Buccaneers are worst in the league inside the 20. They have a 1st and 10 on the 10. Reggie Cobb gets to the 5. Armstrong and Pruitt are there, but Vince Tobin has to be shaking his head on the Bears sideline because this Tampa Bay team is just running straight through the Chicago Bears here.
Richard Williamson said one of the things he wanted to do is to continue to break tendencies. The Bucs have been basically a passing team. They've gone to the pass repeatedly. Today, they've just thrown it out the window. They're coming right up the middle against the Chicago defense. And he's done a good job of breaking tendencies already in this game.
2nd down and 5. The Bucs can get a 1st down without scoring. John Harvey. And they move the pile. Fumble. And Reggie Cobb recovers for Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers nearly lost the 2nd fumble in this 1st quarter, but Cobb alertly makes the recovery at the 6-yard line, and that'll bring up 3rd down.
It is cold enough on the field. You see the footing, a problem down at this end. Slipping by Cobb there. That may actually have saved them as Harvey loses the football. And Cobb, who had fallen down trying to get started, was right there to scoop it up.
Jim Morrissey had knocked the ball away, so it'll be 3rd down and 5.
They're going to review and see when that ball came loose, but I think the replay will establish the fact that it was loose before he hit the ground. There it is, hit by the elbow right there. Jim Morrissey.
Is being reviewed.
Watch Morrissey's elbow, his left elbow right there, popping that ball out of Harvey's hand.
Carrier and Wolford were going after it.
Review, the play stands as called. 3rd down.
So it'll be 3rd down and 5. Mike Ditka wondering what kind of feeling the Bears would have today. They went to the services for Fred Washington yesterday. On the minds of everyone. Out of the shotgun, Testaverde with time, throws, touchdown to Mark Carrier. And that looked easy for the Buccaneers.
5 yards and the Bucs touchdown.
Fourth touchdown catch of the year for Mark Carrier.
Look at how much time Vinny Testaverde has to throw the football. They pick up the blitz. That's Gale trying to come right up the middle. He couldn't make any room in there. And Wolford trying to cover right there on the wide receiver. Carrier simply had no opportunity.
Christie, who's perfect this year on the conversions, remains so. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers still alive in the wild card derby, lead at 7-0 over the Bears. 7-0. Testaverde with a 5-yard touchdown pass to Mark Carrier, who has now caught a TD pass in each of the last 3 games. Testaverde really delighted with the attitude change down in Tampa Bay. There's the scoring drive, and it used up a little more than 5 minutes. Christie will kick off for the Buccaneers. Gentry and Bailey are back. This is going to be Dennis Gentry on the return.
Watch your ass off for it.
And Gentry gets a bit beyond the 30-yard line, where Keith McCants makes the stop for the Bucs.
The Bears committed to a blitz here. They've got both safeties, Carrier here and Gale. And watch what happens to Gale as his feet slip out. They've left the middle open. As it starts here, Testaverde looking off to his left, and Gale slips to the ground on a delayed blitz. No one inside. Carrier on Wolford with the touchdown.
1st and 10 Bears on their own 32-yard line. Brad Muster gets a good hole off the left side. Robinson and Haddix on the stop. Right now for an NFL Today report, let's check in with Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg?
Well, Dick, we talked on the NFL Today about the rash of injuries to starting quarterbacks. Watch what happens at Philadelphia to Troy Aikman. Clyde Simmons of the Eagles lands on him. He is out of the game. 5 minutes into the first quarter, Babe Laufenberg is in. Possible separated right shoulder, headed for x-rays. No score in Philly, Dick.
All right, Greg, so another quarterback goes down, at least temporarily. Brad Muster on 2nd and 5.
Ball's out. It's loose.
Fumble, and the Buccaneers, nope, they said whistle was blown. The ball was blown dead, and Muster is short of a first down by a yard. Ruben Davis defending on the play. So we have had teams having trouble holding on to the ball, and speaking of Davis, he's limping around on the defensive line for Tampa Bay.
That field is so hard, not only hard to get your cleats into, but anytime you come down on it, you're going to hurt today. And that ball at this temperature takes on different qualities. It gets slick, and your hands begin to lose that feeling. You just have a heck of a time hanging on to that football.
At least the shape remains the same.
Well, it's still the same. That's right.
3rd down and 1. Brad Muster, he's got the first down. Brad Muster should be the guy to carry the ball most of the time for the Bears today.
His style of football is better on this kind of turf. He's a straight up, straight ahead kind of runner. He's not a dancer, not a waltzer, but he can run the football, and he's particularly effective on a bad field.
Penalty marker is down, and it will be marked off against Tampa Bay.
Murphy offsides.
It was a first down in any event, and the Bears now getting close to midfield with 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter. First down and 10. Mike Tomczak in his first start of the year. Here's Mark Green straight ahead and gets about 3 yards, but ran right into the nose tackle, Willie Wyatt.
Wyatt not even on this roster at the beginning of the season, cut in the last cut. A strange story. He had followed Kurt Jarvis, who was the nose tackle at the beginning of the year here, as a high school player. Gardendale High School in Alabama, to Alabama. He was 4 years behind him, and then followed him to Tampa Bay. A strange odyssey, but then he was cut. And then, as the injury to Jarvis took him out of the lineup, he's back and starting.
And we'll have a whistle.
Too much time.
Delay of the game. Offense.
This is one of the problems that Tomczak is going to have. not having run this offense, it's going to be a little difficult for him to get in, get the plays called, get up, control the audibles, make the calls that need to be played.
And Mike Ditka told us that if Tomczak has any problem moving the team, we could see the rookie Peter Tom Willis, who finished impressively against the Lions last week.
But he is still a very raw rookie.
2nd down and 12 on the 44 of the Bears. Mark Green. And he gets to the 46-yard line, gain of a couple.
Everyone talks about this offensive line for the Bears. The fact that they have been together so long. They've been together since '65. They took the Bears to that great Super Bowl win.
85.
85. Well, it would be better if it was since '65. But the thing you have to enjoy about watching them work, they're not fooled by anything. All they have to do is look at each other, move a hand, shake their head. The communications are automatic for this line.
3rd down conversions have been a problem for the Bears. They face one now. 3rd down and 10. Tomczak's pass tipped away and nearly intercepted by Eric Everett. Intended for Glenn Kozlowski, and the crowd really coming down hard on Mike Tomczak.
Eric Everett got 2 interceptions last week in that ball game and almost had one here. And Tomczak told me before the game, the thing he worried most about, recognition. Well, he's locked on a receiver all the way. He sends a clear signal to Eric Everett, who got a great jump because Tomczak was on his receiver all the way. Ditka over to chew on Tomczak on the sideline. Woo.
Willie Drury is back, and Maury Buford will kick for the 2nd time. Line drive kick, and Drury on the 18-yard line. Steps out of bounds. Well, if you said at the top how much the Bears wanted to concentrate on offense today, they would get a failing grade thus far with 4 minutes to go in the 1st quarter.
And Tomczak, who has stepped in, much responsible for those miscues.
He's 0 for 5 with an interception. Tampa Bay must accomplish and have accomplished for them if they were to make the playoffs as a wild card. They, of course, have to win their final 2 games. The Cowboys must lose their final 2 games. And the Saints must lose 1 game. And later on today, New Orleans plays at San Francisco. Most of you will see that game on CBS. Cracked rib and all. Neil Anderson. Merlin mentioned if this were a playoff game, he'd be in there. No sense in getting him back because they'll need him for postseason.
Tell you how tough he is. He didn't even come in and complain until Tuesday.
2 tight ends and Reggie Cobb, the running back. 1st and 10 on the 19. And it's Cobb. Cobb gets a big hole and drives it out to the 30-yard line. A gain of 11 and a 1st down. Sean Gale and Mark Carrier on the stop. And I don't know what the Bears are not doing, but Tampa Bay is running at will thus far.
One of the problems they're having is that Mickey Pruitt has replaced Ron Rivera. And Pruitt, at 215 pounds, a very, very small linebacker. The Bucs feel they can exploit that size differential. They'd love to get their tight end Ron Hall on him. Ron Hall weighs 245 pounds.
1st down on the 30. John Harvey gets stopped after a gain of a couple. Mike Singletary in his 1st tackle of the game.
By Steve McMichael. A gain of 2.
Vinny Testaverde has now thrown at least 1 touchdown pass in each of his 12 starts. He threw one to Mark Carrier to give Tampa Bay their lead.
So important for Testaverde to get off to a good start in a ball game. When his confidence is up, he is a terror to play against.
2nd and 7. Testaverde's pass is behind the tight end Jesse Anderson. Singletary was defending.
You saw Testaverde tap his chest. My fault. A bad throw. Had he had that ball in front of Anderson, that would have been a completion.
3rd and 8 for the Bucs from their own 33.
That was Testaverde's 1st incompletion of the game. It will be 3rd down and 7.
Richard Williamson said he wanted to use more screens and more drives. Well, no draw here, but maybe a screen. Let's look for it.
Four wide receivers out of the shotgun. Penalty marker is down. Testaverde's pass is tipped and intercepted by Morrissey.
I don't think there's going to be a play. I think the whistle had blown before that play got underway.
You're right. Crowd won't like it.
False start. 72 offense before the snap. There is no play. No touchdown. No play.
So in that case, Rob Taylor saved disaster for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by moving.
Maybe the only time you ever get congratulated for getting a penalty. Number 72 near side trying to kick out and get the quick jump on Trace Armstrong. Saved his team the touchdown. You think those arms are a little cold?
He may get a game ball for that penalty.
Well, no, I don't think you're going to go that far.
No, I'm only kidding.
He'll still get chewed. In the Bucs locker room just before the game.
Third down.
They were talking about whether they were going to be macho today and go out without anything on their arms, or whether they were going to be realists and put something on their arms. Well, the decision was macho. There are those arms with nothing on them.
The Hardy Boys.
Oh boy, it is a cold day to go sleeveless.
Third down and 12. Bruce Perkins in the game in the backfield as a receiver. Testaverde looking for a receiver. Doesn't find one and goes out of bounds. He was running off balance to his left anyway, and it was Richard Dent who chased him out of bounds, and that will bring up fourth down after an 8-yard pickup by Testaverde.
Well, if you've run for 105 yards in your last ball game, including a 48-yard touchdown, you feel a little more confident in your running ability. Testaverde getting a few extra yards there, but could not pick up the first down.
He ran one time for 48 yards last week, and that's the longest run from scrimmage for Tampa Bay this year.
Another 17-yarder, too.
Mark Royals will be kicking, and Johnny Bailey is back for Chicago. Low line drive spiral. Chance for a return by Bailey. And Bailey has one man to beat. And it was Royals who prevented the touchdown. A 35-yard return by Johnny Bailey on a low line drive kick made to order for a return. And the Bears will be in Tampa Bay territory when we return to Soldier Field. Field in Chicago, it's 9 degrees, but there's not much wind, which would make it a lot worse. Tampa Bay leading Chicago 7-0 with 2:03 remaining in the first quarter, but following a 36-yard punt return by Johnny Bailey, longest of the year for the Bears, a first down on the Tampa Bay 44. Bailey is in the game as a running back. This will be a play fake, and Tomczak's pass is caught by Wendell Davis. And a big gain of 25 yards to the Tampa Bay 20. Harry Hamilton, the free safety, made the tackle.
A chance to watch Tomczak as he's just going to breeze back. He gets excellent protection. A little play action fake there to hold the defense. And then Davis had come right down the middle, finding the hole in the zone. Nailed right there. This is a team that's had trouble pass protecting, but the play action helped them.
First down, Brad Muster gets nowhere, and the middle of the Tampa Bay line, led by Eugene Marv, is there to make the tackle.
Mike Tomczak has to feel a whole lot better right now. A horrible start for him today, overthrowing his receivers early. He's finally thrown a good one down the middle.
The Eagles leading the Cowboys 7-0. That's good news for Tampa Bay and any other club that has a chance for the wild card berth. New Orleans included. Second down and 9. 2 tight ends for the Bears. Ball is on the Buccaneers 18. Play fake. Tomczak wide open. James Coley, the tight end, and he fell down short of first down yardage. It looked like he would have made it had he not slipped, and Ricky Reynolds kept him from getting to the sticks.
This is a good day to get people going one way and force them to come back. Watch Tomczak bootlegging out of there as he comes to the outside. Just a fake right there. Now you can almost see people falling down. Coley himself right there cannot keep his feet, but is able to pick up the good gain.
3rd down and 2 for the Bears with less than 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Here's Johnny Bailey, and he's got the first down to the 6. Eugene Marv, and that will be the last play of the first quarter.
Mike Ditka said it well yesterday. We've got to get it in the end zone. We can't just kick those field goals.
And that is the end of the first quarter at Soldier Field with the score. The Buccaneers 7 and the Bears nothing. Season's greetings to you all from all of us here on CBS Sports in the Midwest. We're beginning the second quarter here at Soldier Field with the Buccaneers leading the Bears 7-0. But the Bears are threatening. They have a 1st and goal at the 6-yard line.
This is the most treacherous part of the field. Absolutely frozen at the far end.
Muster, the first man through. No gain on the play, and Willie Wyatt, that huge nose tackle, met Muster spread on.
Look how many people stacked right here on the line of scrimmage. The Bears talk about people playing 8 and 9 men up. Look at them here. They've got 2 people behind the line of scrimmage, and they guessed right. Ditka had called a running play up the gut. There are 6 Tampa Bay Bucks there to make the stop.
2nd and goal at the 5. Brad Muster gets to the goal line and gets over for a Bear touchdown. Just barely, I might add.
Muster may have been injured on that play, but what a great play, stretching out. He actually extended that ball out with his hands. Watch him now. They catch the linebacker inside. Murphy right there. A run through Marv's arms by Muster, and watch him stretch this football. He's going to reach it out right at the last second and stick it out for the touchdown. Excellent, excellent job.
Willie Wyatt was the guy who tried to prevent the touchdown. Now they're going to review it to see whether Muster's knee was down before the ball crossed the plane.
I think it was. I think it may well have been, although from that angle we're not looking straight down the goal line. This is a better angle. Let's look at it now.
Being reviewed. The play is being reviewed.
I'll tell you, it's awfully close. If it's not a touchdown, it's going to be spotted just barely outside of the goal line. There's Muster, who was shaken up after that tackle by Willie Wyatt.
Going to be a busy day for Muster if he's not seriously hurt. As you see again, whether his knee was down before the ball crossed the plane, and this is what they're reviewing.
You see him start to stretch the ball, and right there, stop it right there. Again, boy, that is awfully close.
We have a reversal. The ball is dead on the 6-inch line.
You're right. It's about as close as you could be.
Well, you can't get it any closer than that. They'd already changed the yard markers. I think that makes it 3rd down and inches. 3rd and inches.
3rd down and goal on the 6-inch line. So Kevin Butler, who was already out there getting ready to kick the extra point, has to go to the sideline. And
Kurt Becker has gone in as a 3rd tight end. Of course, the injury to Cap Bozo, the 2nd tight end, he is one of those not on the lineup here today.
There's Becker. James Rouse, number 30, with Johnny Bailey in the backfield. Quarterback sneak. They got it. Bears score. Robinson is getting some. Tomczak's getting protection from Becker as Robinson got in there, and now a few other players join the fray.
You really don't want to get yourself a penalty here on either side. Tomczak did an excellent job of getting up over the top. Down in the trench, it's very difficult to get any kind of get off. Watch him here. Dives, stretches the football, no question. Good call, good touchdown.
It is 7-6 now, and Kevin Butler comes back on the field. He has that separated right shoulder, but kicking anyway. Missed just one conversion this year. Holding is Tomczak. And the game is tied. Less than a minute into the second quarter. So a quarterback sneak by Mike Tomczak evens the count. It's 7-7. You detect a problem with Butler's shoulder?
Well, I talked to him before the game. He came in with a sling on that arm, on that left arm. He said he thinks he has more than a separated shoulder, thinks there's rotator cuff damage to that shoulder. Will go in tomorrow to have the doctors check it again. They've shot it to block out some of the pain. He was having trouble just moving around in there today.
First play of that drive was a 25-yard pass to Wendell Davis. That started the Bears off. So Butler will be kicking off for Chicago.
Scatter formation for the Bears. Watch him now. They'll just spread out. That confuses the numbers. Hard to pick out your man. Yeah, I got this one. No, wait a minute. He's over here.
3 men are deep for Tampa Bay. Man in the middle is Willie Drury. It'll be Drury on the return from the 9. A little second effort by Drury gets him to about the 33-yard line. Take a look at the NFC playoff picture with 1 week to go in the regular season. The Dallas Cowboys can clinch a wild card berth with a win over the Eagles today. 49ers, have the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The Redskins and the Eagles are already wild card teams, but Philadelphia still could get the home field if they end up with the same record because they've done better in the conference. Dallas, of course, has the edge. Tampa Bay needs to win 2 and has help. And look at Phoenix. Whoever thought we'd see that team in there with 2 weeks to go.
Of course, that injury today to Troy Aikman, a critical blow to Dallas's opportunity.
Gary Anderson is in the game for the first time, and Reggie Cobb gets the call and gets up the middle and picks up good yardage. 11 yards on the play and a first down. Gale and Carrier in the secondary make the stop, and the Saints, who are still alive against the 49ers, coming up next in the second half of our CBS doubleheader. But Gary Anderson in the lineup for the first time today, and now he's going out.
Well, you have to respect him when he comes in there. He was in as a decoy, but you have to respect his speed and open space ability.
1st and 10 on the 44. Cobb again picks up 3 yards. William Perry was the first man to reach him.
You like to go to the big backs on a day like today. They have a better opportunity to get their momentum up, to get themselves in motion. And Cobb is almost a big halfback. In fact, at 6 foot flat and 225 pounds, he is a load. Richard Williamson said we asked him to put on a little bit of weight earlier in the year, but his future is probably at a tailback, not at that fullback position.
And speaking of tailback, Gary Anderson is coming the lineup again on 2nd and 7. And we'll get the call and we'll lose yardage. Trace Armstrong and company, and a loss of 3 yards. So they lose the 3 they gained on first down. Not a great start for Anderson in his first carry.
Again, that 5-man, 1 linebacker alignment for the Bears. We mentioned that that's something they concocted this week because of all the injuries to their linebackers. They bring in 5 defensive backs for that situation, and they got all those linemen on Gary Anderson that time.
3rd down and 10 on the 44 for the Buccaneers. Early here in the second quarter. Dent puts pressure on Testaverde. Testaverde is going deep for Carrier, and he makes the catch to the 20-yard line. And a big 36-yard play to Mark Carrier. Mangum and Tate, the nickelbacks, make the stop.
Vinny Testaverde has marvelous touch on those long passes. And when he is on, he's not afraid to challenge the coverage. He gets time. In this situation, it's so hard to rush when that turf is slick as it is today. Look at that, all the time in the world. And he throws right into the coverage here. John Mangum, the backup, who's in there in the nickel coverage, right on top of Carrier, but could not stop the play.
First and 10 on the 20-yard line for Tampa Bay. Cobb picks up a couple of yards. Terry Price, that 5th defensive lineman you were talking about, is there to make the tackle. Price, a 10th round draft choice out of Texas A&M.
4-yard gain. 2nd and 6 from the Bears. 16.
Price coming from the right side from way out in a position normally occupied by Dent, but Dent has gone to a stand-up linebacker position.
2nd down and 6. Anderson back in the lineup. And a play fake. Testaverde chased by Dent and Gale and goes out of bounds, short of a first down, but by a yard. It'll bring up 3rd and very short.
No question that Testaverde felt the hot breath of Richard Dent on his tail on that last play. 2 of them ended up almost in the stands.
Number 61 report.
3rd and very short, and the Bucks go to a 3rd tight end who is a lineman in this situation, as did the Bears. Watch Dent, lower part of your screen, number 95. He had that play scoped all the way, chasing Testaverde, as we said, almost into the stand.
Tony Mayberry, that the lineman you were talking about, is in reporting. Here is Cobb. May not have made it. Singletary was there to meet him. Mike Singletary going to the Pro Bowl again for the 8th time.
Singletary reading so well. Watch how quickly he explodes. Here he comes right there, number 50, and goes right underneath to take the legs as Cobb jumped to try and pick up the yardage.
They're going to measure to see whether the Buccaneers have a first down. And they're going to be short by 6 inches or a foot.
Now, does Richard Williamson go for it in this 4th down situation? This is where you find out about those new coaches.
Well, he was a receiver coach.
You know what? I really enjoy him. He was so relaxed yesterday. He said, hey, we're going to have a good time. His players are relaxed, and his players will like this. This is a vote of confidence for that offensive team.
It's going to be close.
Again, I think they may have to measure it.
Yeah, they will.
But a tremendous second effort by Cobb.
He didn't make it. The Bears stopped him.
Watch Cobb. He is stuffed on the right-hand side over there. Trace Armstrong underneath. Pruitt, I think, in there, too. He'll spin and roll out of there. But that's number 20, Mark Carrier, who actually held on just long enough to keep him from getting free.
I'm not so sure. They only needed a foot. If they made it by inches. But I thought they stopped him, and they did. What a great defensive effort by the Chicago Bears as Richard Williamson went for it on 4th down and inches, and Donnell Wolford was the main man for the Bears on that play. Soldier Field, Chicago, and maybe they're not playing Bear football offensively by throwing as much as they had, but defensively, the Bears with a great goal line stand, if you will, take over on offense, 1st and 10. You need a little of that, too.
You need some of that. You bet you do. Whenever you can get it. Whenever you can get it.
1st down and 10 on the 11-yard line for Chicago. Mark Green. The offensive line moved the pile that time. Bring it out to the 19-yard line, a gain of 8 yards.
Go back and look at that great stop. Cobb is going to run right in there and get stopped. But watch him as he bounces outside. Carrier is going to grab him, hold him long enough for Donnell Wolford to come up and make the stop. This is tremendous play. Good stop right there at the line of scrimmage. There's the grab by Carrier, and there's Donnell Wolford with a great open field tackle to save those critical inches.
2nd down and 2. Brad Muster past the 30-yard line, and a first down for Chicago. 12-yard gain. Harry Hamilton on the stop.
This is Ditka football. On the season, 55% rushing, and look what they're doing today. An even higher percentage. Well, Mike is definitely calling the plays again today. He loves the running game. He wants to get control at the line of scrimmage and stick it down Tampa Bay's defensive throat.
After Tomczak was shaky throwing, including an interception, they've gone back to the ground game, and a 1st and 10 on the 32. Muster gets maybe a yard. Broderick Thomas was there. Keith Van Horn shoving with Winston Moss. We've had a few of these so-called flare-ups early in this game.
A 1-yard gain. 2nd and 9.
8 minutes remaining in the second quarter. 7-7 the score. Buffalo jumps out in front of Miami. They're in the second quarter at Rich Stadium. A win for Buffalo will assure them home field advantage in the AFC playoffs. 2nd down and 9. Tomczak with a lot of time completes to Muster. And Harry Hamilton chased him down. Muster doesn't have a lot of speed, but he's smart, and a gain that time of 47 yards puts the Bears deep in Buccaneer territory.
Two critical factors. Time for Harbaugh to throw this football, and Tomczak to throw this football, and watch Mark Robinson, number 30, fall down. Robinson falling to the ground, and Tomczak puts it right into Muster's hands, who knows what to do with it. Watch the protection now from that offensive line, and this is something they've been criticized on recently. They say we can't control that line of scrimmage on the pass. Well, they did it there.
47-yard play and a first down on the 20. James Rouse stopped by Eugene Marv. Rouse has carried the ball only 12 times coming into this game. Bears, of course, going in other directions with Neil Anderson on the sidelines with a cracked rib.
One of the Bears still on the ground. One of the offensive linemen.
Jay Hilgenberg, the center, is shaken up, and Jerry Fontenot has replaced him. Now Fontenot comes out. They're working on Hilgenberg. We'll take a timeout as well. Fontenot has gone in at center, replacing Jay Hilgenberg, who is on the sidelines now. Fontenot with a couple of practice snaps.
They brought him out quickly after they knew Hilgenberg was going to have to come out. You don't want to mess up a snap. Tough enough on a good day.
Second down and 8. Yeah, you're right. Second down and 8 on the 18-yard line. Play fake. Tomczak's throw. Caught. Touchdown. Penalty marker down. That was Wendell Davis. But there's a flag. Ricky Reynolds might have.
We may have an interference on the offensive man. There was a lot of bumping going on.
Pass interference defense.
On Reynolds.
Decline. Touchdown.
And for Wendell Davis, that is his 3rd touchdown pass of the year.
The bootleg again. Little quick fake inside to Green. And right there, Tomczak put the ball up. But watch it at the end of this play. Davis with the underthrown football. Man-to-man coverage right there by Reynolds. He just slipped in underneath him and caught the football. And the Bears are putting the ball in the end zone, as Ditka said they had to yesterday.
Wasn't happy with just field goals. He wanted touchdowns, and he's got 2 of them now. Kevin Butler. The kick is good.
The kick is good.
And with 6:08 remaining in the first half, the Bears now lead the Buccaneers 14-7. Buccaneers 14-7, and they did it mostly on the ground, although the 47-yard strike to Brad Muster, the longest reception of his career, was a big part of that scoring drive. Wendell Davis from Mike Tomczak, and it is 14-7 in favor of Chicago. Kevin Butler will kick off. Here's the group photo of the Bears.
Get out the brownie.
Team picture. Back deep, and the man in the middle is Willie Drury. Cobb and Harvey flank him. Low end over end. And it's going to be Reggie Cobb returning. And he barrels it out to about the 30-yard line. James Rouse on the tackle. Well, on Christmas Day, let CBS Sports help you celebrate your holiday with Olympic Winterfest. Countdown to Albertville, a CBS series showcasing many of the world's premier winter sporting events, featuring the U.S. Open Figure Skating Championships, including performances by Katarina Witt and Scott Hamilton. Tim McCarver and Paula Zahn will be your hosts. That's Christmas Day at 3 o'clock right here on CBS.
A day like today, certainly a warm-up for Winterfest. You could ice skate on this field almost.
First down, Buccaneers on the 31 and a fumble. I believe Tampa Bay recovered, and they did. It was John Harvey who alertly picked up the loose ball.
Talked to Randy Grimes, Bubba Grimes, about snapping the ball on a day like today. He said, hey, I usually don't have any problem with that. The only time he could remember ever having real difficulty was in that Winter Bowl that they had up in the Green Bay. Oh, no, he just didn't ever get that football. Ian Beckles pulling across from his guard position, but the ball just snapped right out of Testaverde's hand.
Second down and 11. Play action, and a good one. Testaverde's pass nearly caught by Mark Carrier, and good pressure put on Testaverde by Trace Armstrong, but the Bears did a terrific job covering the receivers.
Dent from his two-point position. He has the option of going to the 3 or down to the 2. They do a good job of taking him down, although there is a leg whip at the end of that. That'll make him mad.
And there is a penalty as well called against Tampa Bay. Bob McElwee explaining the options to Richard Dent.
They lost yardage on the play. They may well elect not to take the penalty.
Offensive pass interference. That penalty is declined. Third down.
Third down and 11. Richard Williamson, who took over and actually took over during the off week, the bye week, from Ray Perkins, said he talked to him earlier this week. Perkins called and congratulated him on his victory. Richard Dent lining up on the right out of the shotgun. Testaverde's pass is incomplete. Bruce Hill, the intended receiver, and just led him a little bit too much. Was that a catchable pass?
I think very difficult to catch, but this is what happens to you when you work out every day in 80-degree, 85-degree weather, and suddenly you're playing on a turf where you can't get traction. Your timing is off, and the timing was off on that play. Testaverde throwing to a spot, had the man open, but just put it out a little too far.
Johnny Bailey returned the punt 36 yards the last time. Mark Royals will kick from his 15. Ooh. And the Bears coming on strong, looking for the block. Bailey. Now I heard a whistle, and it's going to be Chicago ball.
I think we had a fair catch, but even then you've got to field the football. That ball was on the ground. Had the Bucs been able to get it, they'd have had the turnover.
John Mangum recovered the loose ball.
Updated score.
It was a close call for the Bears. Now, you mentioned how Tampa Bay practices in warm weather.
They have to make an adjustment, and look what they've had to deal with on the road this year. As of game time, starting temperatures: Detroit, Minnesota, Dallas, San Diego, a lot of those inside, obviously. New Orleans, San Francisco, Green Bay, the coldest day of them all, a 40-degree day. Hey, that's shirt sleeve weather compared to this. Yeah.
Until today.
Yeah.
First and 10 Bears on their own 42. Tomczak with a play fake, and down he goes for the first sack of the game. Jim Scow returning to the lineup after being on injured reserve with an elbow injury suffered in the New Orleans game and a loss of 7.
Watch Scow coming in from right here, just driving in over the top, playing with that injured elbow. He just gets past his man right there and slides inside. Number 62, Mark Bortz, tried to hold him out. Scal with a hockey pad on that left elbow. They did not think he'd be back as quickly as he came back. He is one tough son of a gun and makes the fine play on that last sack.
2nd down and 17 for the Bears. And on the draw play, Brad Muster gets by 2 defenders. 2 of the Buccaneers missed him. They would have knocked him back for a loss. Instead, he brings it out close to the 40-yard line and gets something out of it. And it'll still be 3rd down and long. Wayne Haddix finally brought down Muster. No easy task.
These linebackers for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the strength of that defense. But if they have a fault, it's the fact that they miss a lot of tackles. Kevin Murphy on that last play, a perfect opportunity to take Muster down, missed the tackle.
3rd down and 12. Tomczak started out 0 for 5 with an interception. Since then, he's 4 for 4, including a touchdown pass. Tomczak intercepted by Harry Hamilton. And Hamilton has intercepted his 2nd pass of the game right into his hands, and the Buccaneers have ideal field position.
Tomczak's concern before this game was recognition. He said, I can read those defenses on film, but I'm worried about seeing the defenses on the field. Watch him here. He's trying to get Muster down the middle again. He simply overthrows his man right there, actually throws it in front of him, and there's Muster coming in from the backside to make the tackle.
Wendell Davis was the deep man. Muster was short. And Harry Hamilton with his 2nd interception of the game. 1st down, Tampa Bay on their 48. John Harvey rides it into Chicago territory and picks up at least 5 yards on the play. Dan Hampton on the stop. Vinny Testaverde with a touchdown pass to Mark Carrier to give the Buccaneers a lead. That was a 6-yard toss. The Bears came back with 2 scores in the 2nd quarter. 3 minutes remaining in the 1st half. Each team has the full complement of timeouts remaining. 2nd down and 4. There is Harvey. John Harvey picks up maybe a yard, and that will bring up 3rd and about 3. That time Trace Armstrong was alert.
There's the fridge, William Perry. 325, they say, maybe a little more. Here he is right in the middle, number 72. He is one of the toughest players in the NFL to run at. Look how he stands Grimes up and sticks him right back in the hole. You can't run inside when you can take a man and stick him in the hole that way. Perry, very, very tough to run against.
3rd down and 3. Testaverde's pass, and they're going to blow it dead. I think that we have a Tampa Bay penalty before the snap.
False start. 72 offense before the
So
play.
that will create
No play.
a 3rd down and 8 instead of a 3rd and 3. Rob Taylor for the 2nd time was moving.
Here's Taylor right here. Trace Armstrong, the man he's worried about, who's playing some excellent football. Watch the movement. He'll just get that quick kick step to the outside, and he gets a fraction early off the ball, trying to get upfield to keep Armstrong away from Testaverde.
And a 2-minute warning will bring this timeout. We'll come back to a 3rd down play for Tampa Bay in a moment. Remaining in the 1st half, and the Buccaneers have had a chance to talk things over. They have a 3rd down and 8 following the penalty.
Critical 3rd down situation. They've thrown some big passes today. Testaverde has been out there consistently able to find those receivers, and today is a day that the advantage really goes to those offensive receivers. They know when they're going. They can start down the field, get that defensive back into a position, and then carefully make the cut. The defensive backs, who are reactors, and you got to remember, they just are trained. When that man breaks to the outside, you react. Well, you react on this field and plant those feet, and suddenly you're on your knees or on your stomach. So this is the day when people who know where they're going, that means offensive linemen, offensive backs, offensive receivers, have an advantage.
Vinny Testaverde's numbers: 4 of 7 for 63 yards and the touchdown. There you see the American flag worn on the helmets in honor of the American troops in the Middle East. The Bears do not have that. Well, yes, they do. They got an exemption because they were going to wear that number 91 on the football in honor of Fred Washington, but both teams have the American flag on their helmets, and that's the story around the league. Frank Pillow and Willie Drury are in as extra receivers on 3rd down and 8. Testaverde up the middle, and the pass intended for Mark Carrier is incomplete. And the other Mark Carrier, they're distant cousins defending.
Carrier on Carrier, and Mark Carrier in the black uniform able to get the better shot on Mark Carrier of Tampa Bay.
That one's going to the Pro Bowl.
Yes,
the other one was an alternate a year ago.
Well, and he actually got to the game last year. At least the Carrier visibility at the Rose Bowl at the Pro Bowl continued.
Mark Royals will kick for Tampa Bay, and back deep, Johnny Bailey, and the ball will roll and go out of bounds at about the 23-yard line.
All of the injuries have really hurt the special teams for the Bears. Rivera, Cox, Roper, your linebackers, your best special teamers, and of course, tragically, Washington had a very big responsibility on special teams. So all of their special teams have been hurt by the injuries and the absence of key people.
Mike Ditka gave a very moving sermon, if you will, at the services for Fred Washington yesterday. Puts things in perspective, and for the Chicago Bears, they put football on the back burner, but as he said, life goes on, and they've got to play the game, and it's 1st down on the 23-yard line for the Bears. Tomczak looks one way and flips it out to Brad Muster, showing some speed there and going out of bounds, chased by Mark Robinson, but not before Muster picks up a 1st down and gets 19 in the process.
Muster has made big yardage over the past weeks when people have been keying in on Neil Anderson. Today, he's had to carry a big share of the load himself, and he does a fine job. Look at that great block by Mark Bort, 62. Right upfield, that's 67 Fontenot trying to get a block as well, but Muster with a big gain.
2 catches, 66 yards. One, of course, was a 47-yard reception, which set up the Bears' go-ahead score. 1st and 10 on the 42-yard line. Out of the shotgun with 4 receivers. Tomczak's pass caught by Davis and out of bounds at the 45 of Tampa Bay. Rodney Rice covering.
Now, if you're a wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, you're probably glad to see Mike Tomczak. He throws the ball outside much better than Harbaugh did. In fact, he likes those outside routes. He's a little smaller than Harbaugh, has a little trouble seeing inside, but with a gun of an arm, he likes to take the ball to those wide receivers.
1st down on the Buccaneer 45. Tomczak's pass overthrown, intended for Dennis Gentry. Wayne Haddix covering on the play, and Gentry, who's been bothered by a toe injury. 1st time he's been involved in the offense today.
You talk to these defensive backs for the Buccaneers, and they will tell you that in a crunch situation, the Bears love to go to Gentry. He's a man who's made many, many big plays for them this year. Almost another one there. Tomczak told me that earlier in the week he got a call from Jim McMahon. Keeps in touch with McMahon. McMahon said, "I'll see you in the playoffs." Well, Bears are trying to crank it up.
They might. Inside handoff to James Rouse. James Rouse close to 1st down yardage. He had to get to the 35-yard line. I believe he picked 9 yards up on that play with Haddix and Winston Moss on the stop. The Bears still have all 3 of their timeouts remaining.
They'll go to the hurry-up offense here with 109 on the clock, 108 and ticking down, and now they're going to have to take the timeout. Well,
Chicago,
2-minute drill, another weakness when you haven't been in the lineup.
But they're in good position right now. They're first. That's Greg Landry to the left of Mike Ditka.
He's saying if we get that ball down a little further, don't be afraid to use the next timeout. Landry, of course, would love to put the ball in the air more than Ditka wants it in the air, but Ditka has been calling the plays this year. Mike very sure that the running game is the way to go, and expected a run here. They've got to pick up the first down in this situation.
3rd down and 1.
Well, are they going to run it? Yeah.
Quarterback sneak and a first down for the Bears. Keep in mind that the longest field goal by Kevin Butler was 52 yards, but with that separated shoulder, that may affect his distance, and they run the hurry-up offense again. First down on the 33. Penalty marker down. Pass is caught by Glenn Kozlowski. A fumble, but they had blown it dead at the 19. So that was a good catch and a 14-yard gain by Kozlowski, but penalty markers down all over the place.
He had the linebacker for Tampa Bay, I believe it was Murphy, coming across too early.
Kozlowski is hurt.
Jumped. Oh, and he is really writhing in pain.
Offside, defense, that penalty is declined. First down.
So the 14-yard first down pass is good, and Kozlowski hurting now.
Kozlowski in the middle of your screen takes the ball. Eric Everett going to get after his legs, but it's a second hit right there. Harry Hamilton, but it looks to me like maybe he came down on the football. Now again, that ground is so hard out there. That's like being in a concrete parking lot. And if he came down on that football with somebody on top of him, he may well have cracked a rib.
Eric Everett seemed to lose his footing as well. In any event, the Bears have used now their second timeout because of injury. We'll be back. Kozlowski as one of the 4 wide receivers. Tomczak's pass going deep. Incomplete for Dennis Gentry. Wayne Haddix was covering on the play, and with 28 seconds remaining in the half, that'll bring up second down.
Tomczak with an excellent pass, had it in Gentry's hands. An opportunity for the TD there, showing you great touch on this pass. Top of your screen, watch him, 29, breaking out on Haddix. This pass thrown right over the top of Haddix's head. Momentarily, boy, that is a hard catch, but that's one you've got to pull in. That's a sure touchdown.
Second down. Tomczak is trapped behind the line of scrimmage by Keith McCants, the rookie, who has moved into the starting lineup and a loss that time of 5 yards. The clock is running. 20 seconds remain. Bears still have 1 timeout left. They are already in field goal range. It'll be 3rd and 15. Tomczak fires, and it is incomplete, out of bounds. Wendell Davis, the intended receiver, and with 8 seconds to go, let's see how the Bears play it, and Kevin Butler will come on to try a field goal to an attempt to extend the Bears lead. Kevin Butler. This will be a 42-yard attempt. Leads the NFC in points scoring. Tomczak will hold. We'll see how the separated shoulder affects this longer kick. And the kick is long enough, and the kick is no good. He hooked it off to the left, and Butler misses with still 3 seconds remaining in the half.
A lot to ask with a shoulder that you came in wearing in a sling and with some intense pain, even though he's got something in there to block that pain. Unhappy with himself, but very, very close on that long field goal.
Well, coming up at halftime, Greg and Terry will bring you up to date with all the scores, highlights, and latest information from around the league. Buccaneers still in playoff contention, and the Chicago Bears still have an outside chance to avoid playing in the first week of the playoffs, but the Giants would have to lose their last 2 games while the Bears win their last 2, and that seems highly unlikely. And that is the end of the first half. Richard Williamson's Buccaneers had the lead early, but the Bears have moved ahead in the second quarter. And that's the end of the first half with the score. The Bears 14 and the Buccaneers 7. But it's very cold here, and the Bears leading the Buccaneers 14-7 at halftime. Dick Stockton and Merlin Olsen with you. And game in which the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been able to run more than the Chicago Bears, which is unusual. But Mike Tomczak, more the passer than Jim Harbaugh, has performed well after an 0-5 start. Has really outthrown Vinny Testaverde.
He has thrown very well, although each of the quarterbacks have had some trouble with receivers. The trouble has come for the defensive backs today, keeping their feet on the field. And I've got to believe that that is going to become even more difficult here in the second half. The other thing I think will be difficult for Tampa Bay, you go back into that warm dressing room, it's kind of hard to come back out onto this field. It's hard for both teams. Both teams are cold, but the Bears live in this weather. They're in it every day. It's much easier for them to adjust.
Willie Drury is back deep for the Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay players who are not in there right now trying to stay as warm as they can on the sideline. Bears will be kicking off. Kevin Butler will spread out for the kickoff. Buccaneers scored first. Testaverde to Carrier. Brad Muster scored from 5 yards out. Wendell Davis caught an 18-yard strike from Tomczak, and that's been the scoring. Willie Drury on the return for Tampa Bay. You can see there what Merlin was pointing out. Tentative with his footwork and is down at the 29-yard line by Glenell Sanders. Sanders added to the roster along with Terry Price in an injury-depleted defensive unit, particularly the linebacking for the Bears.
They mentioned how those linebackers are really the best special teamers, and of course he immediately went to work on special teams. Has not seen a lot of action other than that today.
1st and 10 for the Buccaneers on their own 29. Passing on 1st down. Testaverde slides after picking up close to 5. Pressure that time from Dan Hampton.
Testaverde had set up the screen, something that Richard Williamson said he wanted to use more of. They did not use a lot of the screen, a lot of draw, a lot of play action. And they are going to be using a lot more of that. But on that particular play, Testaverde wisely realized that there was no possibility for that screen and ran it upfield.
And not be as predictable as they were under Ray Perkins.
They want to get out of their 1st down rut.
2nd down and 6. Short drop. Testaverde's pass. Not well thrown. Intended for Mark Carrier on the slant pattern. Defending on the play was Donnell Wolford.
The secondary for the Bears finally healthy after a number of weeks of injuries. Wolford has had ankle problems. Vesti Jackson able to play very little last week. They are finally healthy, and that secondary has become the strength of this Bear defense. It can really make it rough on you.
3rd down and 6 for the Buccaneers in the opening minute of the second half. Testaverde in trouble, and down he goes for the first time today, and it was Steve McMichael picking up the sack on Testaverde, and that will force the Buccaneers to punt.
Credit the coverage for this sack. McMichael coming from his left tackle position, number 76, but Testaverde cannot find a receiver. Watch this. He just comes right back up inside and is met by McMichael.
Royals to punt. High kick. Bailey will call for a fair catch at the 35. Coming up next, second half of the CBS doubleheader. The San Francisco 49ers, already assured of home field advantage throughout the playoffs, take on the New Orleans Saints, who still have a flicker of hopes for the 3rd wild card berth.
Saints opened their season with the 49ers and really nailed them. In fact, had they not made a couple of very foolish calls late in that game, would have taken a victory away from the 49ers.
Niners ended up winning by 1 point.
Another Montana special, Dick.
First down on the 35, and Mark Green gets nothing. Ooh. Reuben Davis might have been the first to reach him.
Reuben Davis just stacked it up over there. Put Keith Van Horn right back into the play.
Let's listen to the hit on this running play.
Ooh.
Bears, 36.
Broderick Thomas also there. Winston Moss 58, but Davis, the man who stacked it up initially, putting Keith Van Horn right back into the middle of it.
Second down and 9. Play fake, and Tomczak's pass is caught by Muster. Make a wish. Wayne Haddix holding on. And Muster picks up 6 yards on that play. He was the big receiver in the first half along with Wendell Davis. Muster scored a touchdown on the ground as well for Chicago.
Passing success that Mike Tomczak has had in this game adds an extra dimension to what the Bears are able to do. They've proven that they can run the football. And of course, with Neil Anderson back, they'll run it even better. But they need to be able to throw when they have to throw the football. Tomczak has done a pretty good job of that in the first half of this game.
Third down and 3 at the 42, and the handoff to Muster. And Brad Muster appears to have enough for the first down.
Mark Bortz doubled over again. He's got a stinger, a neck problem as he heads off the field. We saw him injured a little earlier in this ball game, and with Hilgenberg out of the lineup, that means we're going to have 2 replacements in that offensive line. There is Bortz.
Hilgenberg suffered a twisted right ankle and gave way to Jerry Fontenot in the first half.
Great run blocking. Here's Bortz right here. He's going to come around on a little trap play here, and they're going to come right back up inside. But Bortz ends up banging himself on that play. Nails McCants on the shot. You see him doubling over right there in pain.
First down for the Bears on their 46. Play fake. And the pass is incomplete. It was intended for Jim Thornton, the tight end. And Mark Green made a very good block in the backfield to give Tomczak a little time, but the play didn't work.
Second and 10 for the Bears, 46.
The Bears 51-15 here at Soldier Field under Mike Ditka. This year they are 6-0, and only the Buffalo Bills are undefeated at home, as well as the Chicago Bears. They have been a force in this stadium.
Even though that's a calmer Mike Ditka than you've seen in the past, he has been very emotional here today.
Second down and 10. Another pass attempt. This one is incomplete. No Bears near the play.
Broderick Thomas saying, hey, throw the flag on that one. The official will give Tomczak the benefit of the doubt.
That time the Bears did not effectively keep the Buccaneers out.
These are the kinds of downs that you worry about, because this is a must throw down, a 3rd and long, and you see some of the emotion of Ditka on the sideline.
Well, he's upset with Mark Green because he blocked well on the previous play, but he did not block well at all on the last one. 3rd down and 10. They keep the Buccaneers out and going deep and overthrowing the intended receiver, Ron Morris. And that'll bring up 4th down. So the Buccaneers do a good job that time, and Mike Ditka is furious.
Morris appeared to slow up in that route. Tomczak had him down the sideline, and Morris appeared to slow up at one point. Tomczak assuming that he is still on the fly. There they are talking about the miscommunication right there.
Maury Buford, for the 3rd time, will be kicking. There's Willie Drury back deep for the Buccaneers. He came prepared with long sleeves, thermals, I'm sure, and gloves. Ricky Reynolds nearly got a piece of that. And Drury on the 20-yard line. Barely gets to the 30, where James Rouse puts him down. 9-yard return that time for Drury. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, trailing 14-7, will go to work. Vinny Testaverde gets a few last words from Coach Williamson.
Number 51 right here is going to show young Mark Green what it's like to be thrown by an excellent pass rushing
Lot of
line.
big shoes to fill today.
He certainly does, and probably for the next week as well, Dick, as Neil Anderson not expected to play in that game either. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers early in this game established a running game, and it gave them something to build off of with their play action passing. That's something they need to do here again in the second half.
2nd down and 7 on the 32. 14-7 in favor of the Bears. Testaverde's pass is intercepted by Mark Carrier, and that'll set a Bears record. That's number 10 for Carrier, breaking Roosevelt Taylor's mark, set back in 1963. A tremendous feat, the rookie, with 10 interceptions this year.
There's a lot of time for Testaverde in the pocket. He finally breaks out, and it's hard to throw when you're running to your left. That ball just horribly thrown right into the arms of Mark Carrier. Looks like he's trying to get downfield to a wide receiver on that play, Mark Carrier, but the other Carrier got in the way.
And a 1st down for the Bears. 2 yards shy of midfield. Tomczak's pass is caught by Davis, and they pick up nearly 8 yards. Defending was Wayne Haddix.
You don't think Vinny Testaverde said this is for Mark Carrier, did you?
He had the wrong
Carrier.
Mark Carrier with 10 interceptions. He broke Johnny Lujak's record, rookie record with interceptions last week, and he breaks Roosevelt Taylor's mark set in the Bears championship year in 1963. And Jay Hilgenberg
back in the lineup,
back in the game with a twisted ankle and all. 2nd down and 2. Brad Muster, he's got the 1st down. Harry Hamilton on the stop.
I guess if you're one of those Bears offensive linemen, you're only allowed to rest one at a time, and Bortz is on the sideline, Becker in his place, and Hilgenberg is back in his familiar place, still playing with that badly injured right elbow, something he's had since 1967. It bothers him, but he bothers nose tackles a lot worse than that elbow bothers him.
Mark Bortz on the sideline. He's a Pro Bowler. 1st and 10 Bears on the Tampa Bay 41. Green goes in motion. Tomczak slipped coming out of the pocket, but he completes the pass to Ron Morris. And another Chicago 1st down inside the 25. Haddix defending. 17 yards to Morris.
If Tomczak can keep this up, Greg Landry may get to call a few plays. Tomczak loves to go outside, likes to get to those outside receivers, and that's just a fine job of getting open by Morris and getting some extra yards after the catch.
Well, anyone who's commenting about the Chicago Bears offensive line protection better take another look, because they're doing the job as well as they possible right now. 1st down Chicago on the 24. With 2 tight ends, Mark Green claws his way to the 20-yard line, and Willie Wyatt, the nose tackle, and Urban Randall, the linebacker, making the play.
One of the things that Mike Ditka has talked to his team about all week long, when you've got people hurt, and they have a whole host of people hurt. In fact, they only dressed 43 for this game today. They didn't even dress the 45 they're allowed to dress. Couldn't. Don't have anybody put in uniform. He said everybody's got to pick it up a little bit. Everybody's got to take it up a notch. The Bears have been able to do that here today.
2nd down and 6. Offense was under the microscope coming into this game for the Bears. Short drop, and the pass is caught by Wendell Davis, and he was down after a pickup of 8 yards. Haddix defending on the play. Keep in mind, the Bears do not have 6 players who were knocked out in the Detroit game last week, including the quarterback Jim Harbaugh and Neil Anderson, one of the best running backs in the NFL. First and 10, Bears driving on the 12-yard line of Tampa Bay. Two tight ends and Brad Mustard. Tomczak's pass to Thornton. He's going to get in for a Chicago touchdown. And that's Thornton's first touchdown catch of the year.
James Thornton, one of the best tight ends in football. He's only had 16 catches coming into this ball game. Well, this is a big one here. Eugene Marv on the matchup, and Marv just not enough speed to catch up with Thornton, who knows how to put it in the end zone.
20-7 the score, and Kevin Butler is on. (21-7) in favor of the Bears. 6:50 left on the clock in the third quarter. At Soldier Field in Chicago, Mike Tomczak, subbing for Jim Harbaugh, has thrown his second touchdown pass of the game to Jim Thornton as the Bears have opened up their lead to 21-7 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as the Bears capitalized on a Tampa Bay turnover with Mark Carrier intercepting his 10th pass of the season. Kevin Butler will kick off. Willie Drury is the deep man. And the ball is going to bounce and go out of bounds. Or did it go in and go in for a touchback? It's a touchback.
Boy, that's smart play, but dangerous play by Drury. That ball actually hit the marker on the goal line, which is considered to be in the end zone, so it is a touchback.
And Vinny Testaverde has hurt his elbow, and Chris Chandler has gone in to play quarterback for Tampa Bay. Testaverde flexing his hand on the sideline. Find out whether it's the elbow or hand or what, but Chandler has replaced him at quarterback.
It could be the feeling in that hand. We mentioned how hard this field is. If you come down on an elbow, very often you can damage the nerves in the hand.
First down on the 20. Eric to Reggie Cobb gets 1 yard. Perry and Pruitt both in on the play.
The fridge there, stacking it up inside.
So Testaverde is on the sideline, and Chris Chandler now the quarterback.
We saw Chris Chandler earlier in a game against the San Francisco 49ers. Sacked about 6 times, hit 20 other times, ran for his life all day long. You never doubt about his courage. He's got some promise as a quarterback.
Second down and 9. Chandler is going to try to outrun McMichael and Singletary, and he can, and will drop down. Richard Dent put the initial pressure on, and that will bring up third down and long.
Pressure from the Bears on that 5-man line. Dent coming quickly, jumping over the top of the blocker right there, Reggie Cobb, and Chandler had no chance. And number 50, so often the sight that you see here when you run with the football, Mike Singletary coming right up in your face.
Third down and 10. Chandler out of the shotgun. Losing his footing. And this pass incomplete, intended for Carrier, and Sean Gale was going after the football, and he very nearly picked one off. Looks like Chandler wants to get out of there in a hurry.
He's got the hands tucked away in the warmer. I mentioned it's more difficult in this second half. The cold bites even deeper after you've been out here for a half, gone back into a warm dressing room, and had to come out and face this second half.
Johnny Bailey getting his footing down, and Mark Royals kicks, short kick. But Bailey not taking any chances, because the Bears will get the ball in a good situation as it is down on the Chicago 48-yard line. A 32-yard kick, no return. So the Bears taking over, leading 21-7.
No return. Attention.
Field in Chicago, Dick Stockton and Merlin Olsen. All the flags at half-staff in memory of Fred Washington, the rookie who died tragically in an automobile accident early Friday morning. Bears on their own 48-yard line. First down, 2 tight ends. Brad Muster picks up about a yard, yard and a half. Davis and Wyatt up front, and the penalty marker thrown on the defensive side of the field.
Looked like some late action with James Cooley in there, one of the linebackers. James Coley, not Cooley.
Personal foul, 15-yard face mask foul, 52 defense.
Keith McCants. Face mask.
Number 52, McCants, right there coming in. And that's Coley, number 89, working on McCants. And McCants grabbed him by the face mask and jerked his head around. Flag came flying. McCants very happy to finally be getting his chance to play, trying to learn the pass defense side of this Tampa Bay Buck defense.
1st and 10 for the Bears on the 35 of Tampa Bay. Brad Muster, who's been dangerous as a receiver today, picks up a couple. Keith McCants on the stop.
A gain of 2. 2nd and 8. The Bucs 33.
When you talk to the offensive lineman for Chicago, talking with Tom Thayer this morning, he said, if we can throw the football outside and deep more effectively, we're going to force teams to loosen their defense against us. We're going to give ourselves more room to run the football inside. And that's something they have been able to do here today. Tomczak has stretched it out.
2nd down and 8. Tomczak to throw. And Muster was the target. The pass overthrown, and that will bring up 3rd down and 8. The Bears lost their last 2 games to the Redskins and the Lions. In fact, have lost 3 out of their last 4, all being on the road. 3rd down conversions were a problem. 26th in the league, but they're at 40%, and that's not bad, according to Greg Landry.
No, he said that that's the area that they want to be in. They'd like to move up to about 42 or 43, but 40% certainly an improvement on what they have done during the season.
Pass batted down.
Look out.
By Tomczak.
All right.
And Tomczak on the deflection by Keith McCants ran as soon as he got his hands on the ball and picked up 5 yards.
In case you're wondering, he can certainly catch it and run with it. He cannot throw it a second time, but he did it very quickly.
Well, that improved the field goal opportunity for Kevin Butler, who earlier missed the 42-yard attempt. This will be a longer try from 46 yards. 3:22 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Tomczak will hold. And this kick looks good. Well, Mike Ditka wanted touchdowns today. He said, not the field goal, I want the touchdown, but that's one field goal he'll take. 46 yards for Kevin Butler, and it's now 24-7 the Bears.
Got a bad right shoulder. How do you signal when the field goal goes through? Absolutely. There it is.
Butler will be kicking off 24-7 in favor of the Bears. A loss will eliminate Tampa Bay's slim chances of getting into the playoffs. John Harvey might have bobbled the ball. He held on. Well, next Saturday on CBS Sports, the NFL Today will kick off the football activity at 3:30 Eastern Time. It'll be the Eagles against the Cardinals beginning at 3:30. And, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles are in a position to end up with a home field advantage for the first game of the wild card against the Redskins. If the Eagles and the Redskins wind up with the same record, Philadelphia would have the home field edge because of a better conference record. So the game today with Dallas and next week against the Cardinals is pivotal. That's with the Redskins losing to the Colts last night. First down on the 20. Chris Chandler. And his pass is complete to Ron Hall. Mike Singletary on the stop.
Ron Hall, another one of those fine tight ends in this NFC Central division. They really have a corner on some of the best.
First catch of the day for Hall.
20. Cincinnati 20.
Second down and 1. Gary Anderson is checked back in the lineup for Tampa Bay. And a fumble. And Reggie Cobb apparently has recovered the ball. That's the second time today that Reggie Cobb has had to recover his own team's fumble.
Nicky Pruitt there fighting with him for that football. Watch the snap right there. Did not get up. Every quarterback takes the ball differently. And Grimes, of course, used to snapping to Testaverde. Did not get it up to Chandler on that play.
Buccaneers have fumbled 4 times today and have lost just 1.
2 of those on bad snaps.
Third down and penalty marker down. Dent started to go in. Let's see if he was drawn off. Bob McElwee, whose ears are warm today. It'll be against the Chicago Bears.
Richard Dent is so used to looking inside for motion. He's looking for the ball. Here's Dent on the outside. What he's going to see is movement on the inside, and that's going to set him off. Turn it loose, and let's watch the movement inside. Singletary steps up. You're going to see one of those. See, there's the jump right there, and that started Dent moving. No chance to get back. 5-yard penalty and a first down.
Ball is on the 33 of Tampa Bay. Play action fake, and Chandler going deep, and the pass is bobbled and incomplete. Intended for Bruce Hill, and he was covered by Carrier and Wolford, and Chandler got hit.
Chandler got hit by a couple of runaway buses on that last play. Price and Perry, shoulder to shoulder, went right over the top of him, and I don't think he's seeing things straight. Now, if Vinny's got to go back into the ballgame.
Well, the third quarterback, Jeff Carlson, is inactive for this game, so Buccaneers have just 2 quarterbacks, and Testaverde had to come out in the second half with an injured elbow that made his hand numb. Now he's going to have to come in numb or no numb to throw in place of Chandler.
Situation we talked to Ditka about yesterday. We said, what do you do if both of your quarterbacks going down or would go down? Peter Tom Willis, the backup here, he said, I hope to have a third quarterback by Monday. So he is concerned by that as well.
And if this game were played Monday, he'd be all right. But
let's look at that hit. Watch from the inside. Perry is going to come. Price will come from the right. The 2 of them are going to shoulder inside. There it is. Bang. Actually, it's Armstrong and Perry. 93. Price was coming from the backside. But shoulder to shoulder, and they just buried Chandler. I wonder if he probably thought he wandered out in the freeway, got hit by one of those trucks.
I'm sure Tampa Bay will have a third quarterback on Monday, too.
Well, maybe keep him active next week.
Right.
At the Bucs, 33.
Look at him. He's still shaking his head. I don't blame him. Well, Perry's about 325. Trace Armstrong, no small man. He's 6'4" and 265.
Gary Anderson is split out to the left on second down and 10. Testaverde back in there at quarterback. Going right, and the pass on a fade pattern to Hill, but covered step for step by Vesty Jackson, and that will bring up third down. Bears secondary have had a remarkable season, coming into this game with 29 interceptions, leading the National Football League, and the Bears have picked off 1 today, that by Mark Carrier, who leads the team with 10. Third and 10. Anderson still split to the left. And he dumps it off to Cobb out of the backfield, and Jim Morrissey was there. No way he was going to get 10 yards, a pickup of 7. And Tampa Bay will kick once more in the final minute of this third quarter.
Richard Williamson talking about this Bear team. He said they've made a real transition from a man-to-man and blitzing team in '89 to a zone team in 1990. Well, they played the zones there, and they played them beautifully. All they gave Testaverde was the underneath pass. It wasn't enough.
Mark Royals with a high kick. Johnny Bailey with a fair catch at the 28. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and the CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Chicago Bears, and the National Football League is prohibited. Chris Chandler. Had to come out of the game in relief of Vinny Testaverde.
I think he's saying, I'm all right now. I'm ready to go. Vinny will be glad to hear that. I don't.
Bears with a first down on their 29. Bears defense have totally stopped the Buccaneers ever since the first quarter. Tomczak's pass is caught by Rouse. Make it Thornton. Jim Thornton. And it was Kevin Murphy on the tackle. A gain of 18 yards, and Thornton comes up limping.
Thornton grabbing his right leg a little bit.
And that is the end of the third quarter. With the score, the Bears 24 and the Bucks 7. And our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Back to watch James Thornton, number 80. He's going to catch the football. Now watch him as he's tackled, and he starts forward right there. Stop it right there. That knee coming down on that rock-hard turf. Boy, that pain has to shoot all the way through you. He's off the field momentarily.
First down on the 47 for the Bears. Brad Muster gets to midfield. Willie Wyatt on the stop. Bears lost twice to Tampa Bay last year, including a defeat naturally at Soldier Field. It was the first time in 10 years that the Buccaneers had beaten the Bears in this stadium.
There's Fred Bruni, the defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay Bucks. He's had a tough week. Ill earlier in the week. In fact, one of the coaches telling me he thought that they traced it to too much coffee, too many hours of watching films, but he is feeling better today. Not terribly thrilled, I'm sure, to see 24 points on the board against his defense.
Mike Tomczak calls a timeout. So the Bears use one. Okay, Chicago looking at the AFC playoff picture. The Bills can clinch the division title and home field advantage with a win. They're leading Miami 17-7 in the fourth quarter, and the Raiders can wrap it up if Kansas City loses to San Diego later today. Second down and 7 after a Bears timeout at midfield. Tomczak out to Muster. He's got the first down, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Wayne Haddix again defending. The wild card picture in the AFC, Miami and Kansas City are the prime contenders, but Pittsburgh, Houston, and Cincinnati are still alive to possibly win the AFC Central Division title.
Head-to-head battles in that AFC Central between Houston and Cincinnati today, Houston and Pittsburgh next week. A lot of that settled in those two contests.
Houston and Cincinnati tied 20-20 in the third quarter. Pittsburgh romping over the Cleveland Browns. First and 10. Tomczak. Good catch again by Muster. And Muster gets close to first down yardage. That's his 5th catch of the game.
Excuse me, Dick. Back-to-back excellent passes from Tomczak, both to Muster. This one requires a good read, a good job by Green on the linebacker Thomas to give him time And then a rifle shot outside, even if it was a little high. Muster went up and lassoed it and brought it down. There's 31. Watch Mark Green right there. He missed him earlier in the game. He didn't miss him there.
And that block is what made this play work.
Absolutely made it happen. Tomczak showing more and more confidence as this day develops.
And a first down. Big day for Muster. In total offense, the ball is on the 30-yard line of Tampa Bay. And the pass to Muster was thrown behind him, incomplete. So Brad Muster is on the verge of going over 100 yards receiving.
You talk to these Chicago Bears, Dick, and they'll tell you that there was a turning point in this year for them. And that halftime, at about halftime of the Atlanta Falcon game, suddenly things came to a standstill. And offensively, since that time, they've had a couple of victories, both in overtime. They have just not been able to generate the kind of power that they needed. Well, look on that scoreboard today. Their goal today was to get over 20 points. They've already got 24. Their goal defensively to hold their opponent under 17. Well, they're way below that here today.
So they're getting the job done.
They're getting it back in gear.
Second down and 10, and the pass nearly intercepted by Roderick Thomas. It was intended for James Thornton, who came back in the game after being shaken up.
Just a final thought. Ditka said we've got to get back to playing playoff quality football. Well, I think they're playing well enough today to match up with those playoff teams.
Well, they're going to have to finish on this kind of a note, because the Bears, when they go into the playoffs, are going to have to play the first week at home, but then travel if they win the second week. Likely will play the New York Giants. In fact, that will be their matchup in the second week if they win. Third down and 10. Tomczak. And Dennis Gentry can't hold on to it. Everett was covering, but Gentry had the ball in his hands.
We talked about the difficulty of catching the football on a cold day like today, but these Bears practice every day in this kind of weather. A real rifle shot by Tomczak. Maybe a little too much on that football.
It is going to be fourth down and 10. Tom Waddle has come in as an extra receiver, and the Bears with a big lead.
Wow.
Going to go for it on fourth down and 10, leading 24-7.
Well, feeling it maybe out of the range for their kicker, and there's not much to be gained from a punt.
The pass is thrown away. Davis was the intended receiver, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take over on downs. So Tampa Bay trailing 24-7 comes back on offense. First down for Tampa Bay on the 30-yard line, and the swing pass to Gary Anderson. Jackson and then Morrissey push him out of bounds after a short gain of 4 yards.
Gary Anderson has not touched the ball a great deal today. We mentioned his rib problems. You can see the flak jacket under his well, looks like maybe he's taking it off now. He wore the flak jacket earlier, but I think he's actually taking it off, maybe at halftime.
Leading rusher for the Buccaneers had not scored a touchdown in his last 9 games coming into this contest. Second down and 6. Anderson comes out as a receiver to the right. And an audible called by Testaverde back in. Testaverde's pass, and Carrier may have it picked off. It is by Donnell Wolford. And that is the second interception of the game by the Bears.
Testaverde, watch him here. He knows that they don't have enough people to block. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people and only 3 blockers over here. Watch Testaverde. He points over. He said, no, we can't block him. Finally, he gets Cobb over, but shoots it downfield without full concentration. And look who's there.
So Wolford gets a cheer, and so does the new quarterback in for the Chicago Bears. The rookie, Peter Tom Willis, who came in and completed 7 of 8 and a touchdown last week against Detroit. Willis, the rookie from Florida State, on the pitch to Johnny Bailey. And he is thrown back for a loss by Keith McCants. A loss of 4 yards.
Looked like he may have had the face mask, but he must have had a hold of the pads as he swings Bailey. Watch McCants spin to the outside. A tremendous play, and let's see what he's got a hold of. Looks like he has his hand down inside the pads. And Bailey, who's not a big back, looked like a sack of flour on that one.
Well, we have a sack of flour. We've had a suitcase filled with bricks today on the kick.
And we've had some excellent performance by these Bears today.
Second down and 14 with 11:03 remaining in the fourth quarter. Willis throws it up for grabs, and the pass nearly intercepted by Mark Robinson. He got tripped up. Wendell Davis, the intended receiver.
Robinson's feet shot out from underneath him. Pressure on Peter Tom Willis. I talked to him about last week. He said, hey, I was a little nervous going in. Not on that. Reuben Davis coming in. Winston Moss coming in. A sandwich right there. Son, welcome to the NFL. Bang.
A lot of people think that Willis is the quarterback of the future here in Chicago. He looked impressive last week in a losing cause against Detroit. Third down and 14. And the pass is intercepted by Ricky Reynolds. Reynolds in Bear territory. And he very nearly outran Ron Morris, who caught him from behind. And now the Bears, with the third interception thrown by Chicago quarterbacks, a 46-yard return by Reynolds.
Ron Morris fell down. He was the intended receiver. He breaks to the inside. Willis throws, and there's Morris on the ground. The defender jumps in front of him. Now watch Morris. He's got to get up and go after that interceptor. A good job right there of getting outside by Reynolds, but Morris slow getting off the ground, although he does finally make the play.
It looked like Willis had forced this ball.
Well, I think the thing that kills him is that slippery turf down there, but it was not a well-thrown pass without question.
First down on the Bear 13. Testaverde chased by Dent. Nowhere to go.
Ice skates.
And throws incomplete. The footing, you mentioned at that side, is treacherous, but the Bears are doing a spectacular job today of covering Tampa Bay receivers.
Big Paul Gruber, number 74, right in the middle of your screen on Dent. Watch Dent. Dent gets away, and then can't keep his feet. Right to the ground. He gets his shot right there on Trace Armstrong. He looks around. Can I get somebody else? Then he finally falls down. Testaverde must have the best shoes of the bunch. He kept his feet.
Seemed as if the Bears had 14 men on the field defending it.
You know what's great? Nobody open, even after all that time. That's great work in the secondary.
Second down and 10. Testaverde going for the downs, and it is incomplete. Mark Carrier was out of the end zone. Bestie Jackson covering.
Perfect execution, except for one thing. Carrier ended up out of bounds. Watch the feet here. You can't throw a ball any better than that. He's going to get one, well, maybe on the line. Second one clearly out, though. No question he was out of the end zone. But Carrier concentrating on that football.
Inside the 20, the Bears, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. Tampa Bay, inside the 20 twice, have scored 1 time. Third and 10. And Testaverde thrown back. The whistle had blown, and Donnell Wolford on a blitz came right up the middle and a loss of 8 yards. And the third sack of the game by the Chicago Bears.
Richard Williamson said he felt that this team had reverted to a zone temperament. They come lower left side of your screen. Here he comes right here inside. A late breaking blitz here. They try to pick up Morrissey inside, and nobody there. They're just outnumbered. Wolford right into Testaverde.
That's got to be the first time the Bears have blitzed today.
They've come a couple of times, but not with that many people.
Steve Christie, who has kicked 8 straight field goals, earlier had an 11 field goal streak. This is from 39 yards. Mark Royals holding. Kick is blocked. And the Bears will get it at the 35. Christie had kicked 8 straight field goals before that block.
The Bears just push everyone back. This ball kicked a little bit low, and it looks like Dent, number 95, inside, who reached up and slapped that football back into the backfield.
Both Dent and Price were both there. One of them got a hand on it. I think you're right with Dent. And the Bears take over first down on their 35-yard line. Make it the 36. With 9 minutes and 46 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, Buffalo now leading Miami 24-7. You saw the Eagles still with their lead over Dallas.
So many positive plays. If you're a Bear fan, you're part of this Bear team in this game today. They have really been able to turn up the heat, which they felt they had to do getting back toward the playoffs.
Peter Tom Willis, the quarterback, in relief of Mike Tomczak. And the handoff is to Mark Green. Fine bit of running by Green, and he picks up a first down. Randall and Hamilton defending.
If you're playing behind Neil Anderson, you don't get many chances to get on the field. Not only extremely durable, but he loves to play the game. Mark Green has gotten an opportunity here today, and he is learning a great deal, and he's making the most of it.
Well, if the Bears can look this good without Neil Anderson and Jim Harbaugh, that bodes well for postseason. First down on the 47 of Chicago. Here's Green again. Ooh.
Green took the handoff.
And Broderick Thomas the first to reach him. Word, by the way, from San Francisco is that Joe Montana awoke this morning with a sore groin muscle and has decided not to start today, but will play if he is needed. Steve Young will start for the 49ers in the second half of our CBS doubleheader as the Saints, still alive in the playoff derby, go against the 49ers at Candlestick Park. Coming up next.
Name of Steve Young will bring back some memories to Tampa Bay fans. Young, of course, traded to San Francisco from Tampa Bay.
Second down and 7 at midfield. Here's Green.
Green took the handoff.
That'll bring up third and about 4 or 5. Ruben Davis on the stop. Buccaneers seeing their slim playoff hopes dwindling here with under 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Bears, since the first quarter, have gone to town against Tampa Bay.
They certainly have. They've taken charge in this game, and part of that, I think, the help of their Chicago Bear weather. They just simply play better in this weather than a warm weather team like Tampa Bay. Ditka said it the other day. He said, hey, somebody's going to have to come in here on January 5th or January 6th, and they're going to have to beat us at home.
That's a tall order for any team, Dallas or whomever. Third down and 5. Penalty marker is down.
Van Horn offside on the far side.
False start, 78 offense.
Only a defensive lineman like you would be watching those offensive linemen.
I can see. I see him in there. This is such a. The Bears' offensive line is fun to watch. I mean, they are colorful characters. They are just fun to be around. Talked to Van Horn yesterday. Went into the training room. He was in ice water. He was up to his neck in ice water, trying to soak that body of his. He had been around for 10 years. But what a great one he's been over the years.
It'll be third down and 10. There's Mike Tomczak, who had a terrific day. 16 of 33, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. A bit shaky with the passing game, which Mike Ditka doesn't like nearly as much as the running game, but he generated something with that offense today.
He was explosive, and you remember 5 of those missed passes, the first 5 he threw.
3rd down and 10 at the 47. Willis has time, and Wendell Davis makes a fine grab and a first down into Tampa Bay territory. 15-yard gain with Wayne Haddix on his back.
And that's what Mike Ditka and Greg Landry like when they look at Peter Tom Willis. He has a great sense coming out of Florida State University. Bobby Bowden's offense, a pro-style offense. I watched him play one of the best games I've ever seen a college football player have in the Fiesta Bowl as a senior. He's a little bit like Joe Montana. Played as a 5th-year senior, had to wait that long and lit it up. And he has some of the same characteristics. That great arm, quick release. They like him here in Chicago.
First down on the 38. Here's Green. And Mark Green. They have another first down, and he does for the Bears. Wayne Haddix on the stop. And so Mark Green today with his best day rushing of the season. Prior to that, he gained 32 yards against the Seattle Seahawks in the first game of the season. And today he has gained 42 yards on 10 carries.
Look at that smile. A very subtle little smile, but he has earned it. One thing I remember so well from cold days like this, you don't feel all of those hits. You don't feel the pain until later. Your body is so cold that you can't feel it until you finally get warmed up.
It is a first down for Chicago. So Neil Anderson out of action with a cracked rib. Mark Green, 42 yards rushing, and Brad Muster, 143 total yards. And Muster also with a touchdown. So the Bears have to be pleased with Anderson's subs today. 1st and 10 on the 28 of Tampa Bay. Here's Green again. Kind of lost its footing behind Van Horn.
Did you see what he did? He had a hand on the back of Van Horn, and he actually grabbed a hold as he started to fall and straightened himself back up. Watch Green now. He follows in behind the pull of Van Horn and Thayer right here. Now, as he gets up inside, he's going to reach out with his hand right there. He starts to slide. Watch him just reach out and get a little pull himself back up and slide inside. That's got a big target to get a hold of there.
That's called riding on somebody's coattails. Under 5 minutes to go in the game. 2nd down and 7 at the 25 of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now they send Green in motion. James Rouse bounced off about 4 people and gave ground on that play. And finally, Broderick Thomas making the tackle. Philadelphia Eagles, Eric Allen with an interception return for a touchdown, and the Eagles leading the Cowboys 17-3. There are the other scores, including Buffalo ready to wrap up home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs.
Doing it impressively without Jim Kelly. Boy, the watch cry around the league is our backup quarterback is better than your backup quarterback. So many of them having to step in and carry the load. Well, we've seen it here today on both sides.
3rd down and 8. Under 4 minutes to go, and Willis will call a timeout. That'll be the 2nd timeout called by the Bears. So the Bears are unquestionably in control of this game. Both ends of the football today. And we'll be back to Soldier Field after this. Bear country. Yep, the Bears have been awfully tough here at Soldier Field. And if you look at the best home records since 1980, Bears are right at the top.
Well, they certainly are. And sometimes those Bears hibernate in the cold. Well, they haven't done it here today. And look at those other playoff teams there. Miami, Washington, San Francisco 49ers, all extremely tough at home. And the 49ers, of course, have the home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
And the Redskins' home field advantage may be in jeopardy in that first wild card game. 3rd down and 8 at the 26. Willis's pass, and that was intended for Tom Waddle, and might have made a catch on that, but he lost his footing. Once again, we want to remind you, Christmas Day, 3 o'clock here on CBS, Olympic Winterfest. Countdown to CBS exclusive coverage of the Albertville Olympics in 1992. And we'll showcase a lot of the stars of the winter sports world. U.S. Open Figure Skating Championships. You'll see performances by Katarina Witt and Scott Hamilton. Our hosts will be Tim McCarver and Paula Zahn. So get on the winter sports bandwagon with Olympic Winterfest Christmas Day. Kevin Butler with a 43-yard field goal attempt looks true, and the kick is good. Butler with field goals from 46 and 43 yards extends the Bears' lead now to 27-7.
Excellent kick by the injured kicker. Nailed that shoulder last week on a tackle. He took down a ball carrier on the return, but he has had an outstanding day playing in pain, as he will do for the next few weeks.
Soldier Field in Chicago. Many of the fans have left. They've seen enough of the cold. 11 degrees right now, but they've been treated to a fine performance by the Chicago Bears. Defensively, the Bears have been playing well defensively, but offensively, the 27 points and the way they did it today, mixing the passing with the running, with Tomczak in for Harbaugh, who is out for the season, that's going to be a big checkpoint for Mike Ditka.
The other thing that Ditka has been able to do today is to get his third quarterback, now the #2 quarterback, Peter Tom Willis, a little more experience in this game, get him a little bit more comfortable in the framework of the offense. So Ditka has been able to touch bases on a number of the goals that he set for the team today.
Neil Anderson could have played if this were a critical game. Harbaugh is out for the rest of the year, so a good sign with Tomczak leading the club. Butler 2 for 3 at field goals today, will be kicking off.
Butler has kicked off to restart the game.
And it's picked up by Drury.
You don't think it's tough to run down there? Boom.
And right now, we told you about Joe Montana. Right now, let's get more from Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg?
Well, Dick, earlier we raised the question about the Niners resting and protecting Joe Montana. Vern Lundquist has late word from San Francisco.
Joe Montana has been bothered by a slight groin strain much of the week. He woke up this morning, he wasn't feeling good. He has decided not to suit up for today's game. Now, he's not on the inactive list. He could play if necessary. But with quarterbacks dropping throughout the league, the 49ers are taking the safe route. Steve Young will start and play against the Saints.
Chris Chandler is the quarterback. 1st and 10 on the 15-yard line. Chandler completes the pass to Bruce Hill. And Hill is down at the 30-yard line, a gain of 16 yards. So what do you think of the Joe Montana news in San Francisco?
If I were coaching out in San Francisco, there's no way in the world that I'd put Joe Montana on the field today. What do you gain? I mean, they have locked up home field. They can only lose in this situation.
Chandler is going to run out of the pocket on 1st and 10, and he gets hit hard.
And he's hurt. Chandler looks like he may have hurt his knee on that play.
Dante Jones, Bears linebacker. Here it is.
Watch Chandler. And again, this turf frozen. It might catch a cleat. As he goes down, that leg goes right back underneath him. It looked like the ankle. He sat down on that right ankle, and it snapped up underneath him. Dante Jones really does not have much impact, but look at the foot rolling back under his hip right there, and he is hurting.
Chandler is hurting on the sideline. A good point you make of Joe Montana, although earlier in the week when someone suggested that maybe Young could get some snaps, he says, you know, I'm not here to sit down and let the backup quarterback play, even though the 49ers have a week off, and there could be some case for letting Montana play under ordinary circumstances so he doesn't lose his timing because they still have that week off.
I talked to Joe Montana about Steve Young, and he doesn't even like to see Steve Young take snaps in practice. I mean, Montana wants to control that position. I'm sure part of it because he feels he needs the snaps. He feels like he needs to stay in his rhythm. But also there's something personal there between those two.
Yeah.
They don't talk a lot about it, but there is a very intense rivalry.
Chandler limps off the field. And Vinny Testaverde back in the game in the AFC Central Division with Pittsburgh winning today over Cleveland. That's the picture. Houston facing Cincinnati, and the Bengals have opened up a 34-20 lead. Big game for a big week for Pittsburgh. Testaverde gets sacked. He was in the grass, and it was Dante Jones who's making the most of his opportunity, and that is the 4th sack of the day by the Bears defense.
Quarterback move in grasp and control.
Loss of 14 yards.
Chance to watch number 53, Dante Jones, coming hard here from way back. Watch him. There's just nobody there to pick him up. Again, the Bucs outnumbered on that side. And Testaverde goes down to the sack.
3rd down and 17 with 2.5 to play. Testaverde's pass is caught by Bruce Hill. And a fine timing catch, and a penalty marker has been thrown after this 24-yard gain, and we may have a personal foul. Marcus Paul and Maurice Douglas combined to make the snap on Hill.
49 defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
David Tate was holding. They'll decline the penalty.
Watch the long arm fake right here. Right here. Pump one time. Whoop. A little bit earlier on it, but a good toss over the top. Tate had excellent position, but that ball just well thrown right over the shoulder of the defender.
1st down and 10 on the 49-yard line. Testaverde off balance, lets it fly, and we'll have a flag against the Bears. Mark Carrier was interfered with by John Mangum, and that'll give the Bucs a 1st down deep in Chicago territory.
We talked about the disadvantage of playing in this cold weather for a warm weather team. Mangum told me earlier today, I've never played in anything less than 40 degrees. He's getting a baptism today. The footing an enemy here, but he can't hit the man like that from behind. He just tripped, caused a penalty. They'll take it all the way down to the 15-yard line.
And a 1st down on the 15-yard line with 2:15 to play. Out of the shotgun is Testaverde. And wide open is John Harvey, but the pass was overthrown. Today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers inside the 20 on 3 times scored a touchdown, but more impressive, the Bears perfect today when they've gotten inside the Buccaneers 20-yard line.
They talked about the fact that they couldn't just settle for field goals as they did a couple of weeks ago against Washington when that's all they could put on the board. Today, they put up those 7 points.
Bucs scored first in the game, 7-0. And the Bears with 27 unanswered points. John Harvey going wide is run out of bounds by Mickey Pruitt.
Vince Tobin must be a happy man for these Bears, having to make so many adjustments. Ron Rivera out, Ron Cox out, John Roper out. He's had to reshuffle this defense, came in with a 5 lineman and 5 defensive back alignment. There he is, calling things on the sideline. He has to be a very happy man. Not only has his defense played well in spite of being short-handed, but they really have controlled this game.
You call that man happy?
Well, he's got his hands full. They're down inside the 15-yard line right now.
3rd down and 7. Testaverde's pass. Crossing pattern and the mix-up. Frank Pillow, one of the receivers downfield, and that'll bring up 4th down, and the Buccaneers will go for it on 4th down with nothing to lose. And Richard Williamson is 2 minutes and 2 seconds away from his first defeat ever as a head coach.
Well, it would even his record. He was so happy coming in with a 1-0 record. Now he's going to have to live with a 500 record.
How quickly the percentage drops.
Well, it changed for him very quickly when he was hired. That all happened. He said Coach Ray Perkins walked out of the meeting. Within an hour, he was the head coach.
On 4th down and 7. Harvey holds on to it. And I believe he's got enough for the first down.
Just by a fraction.
And with 1:55 showing on the clock, we'll have our 2-minute warning right here. And here's how the Buccaneers got the first down. Harvey wide open, and he found the sticks. We'll be back. Here at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Bears remain undefeated at home at 7-0, and Tampa Bay scored first in this game at a 7-0 lead, and the Bears came back with 27 unanswered points to win going away, although the Buccaneers have a 1st and goal at the 4-yard line.
Those 2 interceptions look kind of ugly for Testaverde. The last time he was here, he had 5, so that's not nearly as painful as what he did, or last time he played the Bears, actually, at Tampa Bay earlier in the year. He had 5.
Testaverde's pass caught for a touchdown by Bruce Hill.
Testaverde to Hill.
4-yard touchdown pass, so the Buccaneers score first and maybe last, and now it's 27-13. Testaverde's 16th touchdown pass of the season.
You'll see Bruce Hill coming down across. He gets away from his man right there. 36, Marcus Paul, and just streaks inside. Testaverde has really thrown some good passes during this day, but he's also thrown some really awful passes today.
Steve Christie with the extra point. And the kick is good. 27-14 is the score now.
14. There's a timeout.
Well, tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes. The dream is to go to college on a basketball scholarship and then make it to the pros. The reality for most is a trip right back to where they started from. 60 Minutes tonight, followed by Murder, She Wrote and the CBS Sunday movie Always Remember I Love You, starring Patty Duke, Joan Van Ark, and David Burney. That's all coming up tonight on CBS. Bears, by winning, will go 11-4 on the year, and Tampa Bay 6-9 will end their playoff hopes. While we have a moment, we want to thank some people. The coordinating producers of the NFL on CBS are Charles H. Milton III and Ed Gorin. Today's telecast was produced by Richard Zients and directed by Andy J. Kindle. The NFL Today was produced by Eric Mann and directed by Duke Struck. The senior producer of CBS Sports is David Winter, and the executive producer of CBS Sports is Ted Shaker. Buffalo beats Miami, and the Bills, they have been red hot, Merlin. They win the AFC East and will have home field advantage throughout.
And home field for Buffalo, much as it is for Chicago, means cold winds and freezing temperatures, and it is big for them as well.
Christie will be kicking off, and Johnny Bailey is back deep for the Bears.
Onside kick.
And it's Waddle covers it up. So the Bears will take over in Tampa Bay territory with that much time remaining. Philadelphia Eagles still lead the Dallas Cowboys 17-3. Tampa Bay, by losing, is out of the playoff picture. The New Orleans Saints still have hope. They will play the 49ers coming up next on CBS. Most of you will see that game with Steve Young starting at quarterback, but the Saints right now are still alive, as are the Phoenix Cardinals, who play later against the New York Giants. First down for the Bears on the Bucs 43. Johnny Bailey. And a good hole open up. Hamilton makes the stop. 9 yards on that play. So Dallas will not be able to wrap up a wild card berth, and Philadelphia will move into a tie with the Redskins. And if they end up in a tie, the Eagles will have the home field advantage because of a better conference record. The Bears will play the third wild card survivor. It'll be Dallas or New Orleans or Phoenix, but they'll be home for that first wild card battle. And the Eagles have won. They've defeated the Dallas Cowboys 17-3. Tampa Bay has used a timeout here with 1:28 remaining.
One of the things that has to please Mike Ditka, they've been able to survive on this day without apparently losing any more players. Disastrous week last week. We've talked about it many times, not only the injuries but also the loss of Fred Washington, but they look to be able to get out of this one without losing any more bodies.
Philadelphia won the game, as we said, so they are now 9-6 on the year, and they would jump ahead of the Washington Redskins as the #1 wild card team. Second down and 1. James Rouse. And he'll lose a couple of yards. So there is the updated wild card picture. Philadelphia and Washington 9-6. Redskins still have to play Buffalo next week. The Eagles will close at Phoenix in a game you'll see Saturday on CBS. And if they end up as they are, tied with the same record, the Eagles would have the home field advantage on that first wild card weekend against Washington. Dallas, of course, still alive as the #3 wild card team, and a timeout called by Tampa Bay.
Great many of these Bear fans on the highway headed home, some probably doing the last-minute Christmas shopping. And we'd like to take the opportunity to pass along season's greetings to all the good people out there who tuned in, shared this day with us. Hope it's a joyous season for all.
And of course, Christmas gifts will be under the tree, and sometimes some flowers will be under the tree as well, Merlin.
Santa brings flowers, you know that. He does bring those flowers.
Well, my family got some. Third down and 3 for the Bears with 1:17 remaining. Tom Willis completes it to Dennis Gentry. That'll be a Chicago first down.
That'll show you something about the young quarterback. He gunned that football. The long out. He threw it very well.
7-yard gain that time. But on the day in which the Bears did not have Harbaugh and Neil Anderson, Tomczak and Brad Muster did a terrific job filling in against the team that was still in playoff contention.
I'm sure one of the things that's going through their heads, just think how much better we're going to be when we get a healthy Neil Anderson back. He'll be rested. He'll be ready to step back into the flow of the action.
First and 10 for the Bears on the 29. Johnny Bayless. Bears will be home for that first wild card game, but then the second week, if they win, they have to play the Giants on the road. The Giants have been struggling as of late, so it'll be interesting to see whether the Bears or the Giants are more at a peak playoff position when that time comes.
Both fighting to put themselves back into the framework of playoff football.
And both chasing the Niners. So for Merlin Olsen, this is Dick Stockton saying so long from Soldier Field. The final score, the Bears 27 and the Buccaneers 14. Stay with us for game 2 of our doubleheader as the New Orleans Saints travel to San Francisco to take on the world champion 49ers. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You are watching the NFL on CBS.
Stadium, in fact, as Frank Reich stood tall for the Bills against the Dolphins. Not standing so tall for another weekend quarterbacks. Cincy turns thumbs down on Warren Moon. Who's the best at KOing a QB? Try the Eagles. Troy Aikman will attest. Seeing the trend, the Niners went with Steve Young and gave Joe Montana the day off. No day off for the injured Steve DeBerg, who tried to finger his Chiefs into the playoffs. Pull up a sleigh. Santa and Primetime are coming to town. Once again, everybody, welcome to week 16 of ESPN's NFL Primetime. I'm Chris Berman, and whoa, we have some of the playoff picture unscrambled. Some of it is more scrambled than green eggs and ham. Helping us unscramble everything. See, I have kids. Tom Jackson, Pete Axthelm, Robin Roberts. We shall explain all. We also shall explain the late games going on around the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs have defeated the San Diego Chargers out in Chile. Yes, Chile, San Diego, 24-21. That means the Chiefs have clinched their first playoff spot in 4 years. They are at least a wild card team, still have a shot at their divisions. Highlights of that a little bit later on. The New Orleans Saints are trying to upset the 49ers at Candlestick. Waning moments of that ball game now. 13-10 Saints. Joe Montana did not play. Steve Young has gone the route. And the Giants lead the Cardinals down at Tempe 24-21. But the Cardinals have just recovered an onside kick. A minute 25 to go in that game. Phoenix with the ball, trailing by 3. So we'll keep you updated on that game and show you highlights later on. Tonight, here on you that have just watched the completion of the two late games that were still going on, the Giants did hold on to win in the Valley of the Sun over the Cardinals 24-21. That means the Giants have clinched the #2 spot in the NFC playoffs. They will get a first-round bye. So will the San Francisco 49ers. So this game today against the Saints didn't mean much to them. It means a lot to the Saints, who keep their playoff hopes alive. They've upset the Niners 13-10, as the Niners did in their only other loss this year against the Rams. 6 turnovers. They committed 6 today, and the Saints win at Candlestick Park. On to the AFC Central, where the whole division has been in a tizzy. 3 of the 4 teams having shots going into today's action. And those good friends, the Bengals and the Oilers. Last year, 61-7 Cincinnati. Earlier this year, 48-17 Houston. They met again in the jungle. Would this one finally be close? Well, there was no question. They were battling for a playoff spot in the AFC Central. The Bengals going at 7-7, the Oilers going at 8-6. With the Warren Moon-led Oilers up 3-0. Look at him spot Haywood Jeffries, who makes the catch at the end zone, 21 yards, 10-0 Houston. On the ensuing kickoff, it's a fumble by Stanford Jennings, nailed by Victor Jones. Jones falls on the football, but offsides on the kickoff by the Oilers. Bengals get it back, and look at James Brooks, and he looks for contact.
And Chris, we both love the fact that this guy never runs out of bounds. You have to knock him out.
On the Oilers' next possession, after that one set up an Ickey Woods touchdown, and the Bengals trail to 10-6. Oilers don't get the snap off in time, and to settle for a field goal. Oilers' most penalized team in the league, so they could have led by more, but they're only leading 13-6. Next possession, it worked to the right. Let's go middle. James Brooks, left-handed go, 56 yards. He could go all the way. Touchdown, and we're tied at 13. And Tommy has some help up front.
No running back puts up the kind of numbers that James Brooks does unless he gets good blocking. There you see Anthony Munoz circled. He comes in, makes the trap block to spring him for the big game.
Tied at 13 at the half, but then the Oilers grab the 20-13 lead. Watch this play. Boomer the shotgun. Moves up, says James Brooks, get right over here. This is a formation no one has ever seen. Look at the quick handoff to Brooks. And he's going to go around the left side for 40 yards. And again, Tommy, he's going to lower that shoulder.
Look how timid he is at the end of this run,
yeah, he's really timid. He was, you know how timid he was, Tom? He was 201 yards worth of timid on 20 carries today. JB was a monster on the same drive. 3rd and goal. Ickey Woods, watch it keep churning. Touchdown. No, he's not a touchdown. Sam says we need the touchdown. So on 4th down, do they go for it? Yes, it's Stanford Jennings. Only his 11th carry this season, but it's a big one. The Kaiser and company say we're tied at 20. Jack Parney says, I don't like the fact that I'm 3 plays and a punt. He liked it less when Rodney Holman shook Terry Kennard and Chris Dishman. Give us a break. Make the tackle. It's down to the 1-yard line, setting up the Ickey shuffle. A touchdown. The Bengals lead at 27-20. Warren Moon, looking for his 10th 300-yard day, threw for only 288. There was a couple of yards that he didn't get that were costly. The Bengal defense maligned, justly so, all year, but this time it's Barney Bussey that stands tall in the end zone. And watch the play made by Pro Bowl safety 33 David Fulcher, knocking away a touchdown. Then late in the 4th, less than 2 minutes to go. This is what Oilers fans are cringing about. James Francis's helmet gets caught with Warren Moon's thumb. Dislocated in the last minute and a half of the game. Surgery tonight in Houston. The Bengals win the game 40-20, and in the process, you saw them knock Warren Moon out. He has the dislocated thumb on his throwing hand. He is out for at least 3 weeks. And so now the Houston Oilers go into their big game of the season with the commander, Cody Carlson, at quarterback next week against Pittsburgh, not Warren Moon. So that is costly indeed, not only the loss, but Warren Moon is out. Elsewhere in the Central, the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns, oh, by the way, the one team that doesn't have a shot. And Pittsburgh had something better than a bye on their schedule. They played Cleveland. Now, think back last year when it was in Pittsburgh, 8 Steeler turnovers resulted in a 51-0 Cleveland win. That was the last time they played at Three Rivers until today. Rod Woodson says Merry Christmas, throws the ball in the stands, but it was Cleveland giving out the gets. First place from scrimmage, Mike Pagel, stripped by Brian Hinkle. Donald Evans recovered. And on the Cleveland sidelines, Jim Schaffner has that look. The result, Bubby Brister, 20 yards to Mike Mularkey. The question, safe! Was he in bounds, Tommy?
Chris,
Bubby wants a look, sorry.
Chris, at the moment he catches the ball, the right foot is on the ground. Right there, left foot down, touchdown.
Second play from scrimmage, Eric Metcalf. It's a fumble. Gerald Williams recovers. And on the Cleveland sidelines, Jim Schaffner has that look. The result, Brister, 20 yards to rookie Chris Cab Calloway for the touchdown. You think he's excited? Guess so. First career TD, 14-0 Steelers. On the Browns, third play from scrimmage that Cleveland gave to me. Another fumble. Donald Evans recovers from Kevin Mack. Jim Schaffner has that look. Art Modell has that look. Bubby Brister has that look. Mike Mularkey has the touchdown. Bubby threw for only 139 yards, but 4 touchdowns as the Browns couldn't stop giving away the pigskin. And what about David Little?
Steelers big hits all day here. David Little zeroes in on Metcalf. And then the next play, it's David Johnson with a leg tackle on Kevin Mack. Pittsburgh's defense, #1 in the league.
Yeah, and Cleveland's offense didn't help either. What, says Webster Slaughter. 9 turnovers, a $158 total offense. Reggie Langhorne with the great punt. That was Cleveland's best play of the day as the Pittsburgh Steelers actually called off the Dogs later on as they leveled Cleveland 35-0. And so the Pittsburgh Steelers can win the division if they beat the Oilers next week, next Sunday night here on ESPN, but it's in the Dome at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Cincinnati now is also still alive in shot for the division. So, Tommy, first of all, let's look at all 3 contenders here. James Brooks, I know you've always loved him. Didn't love to play against him.
An outstanding day by Brooks. You know, he didn't get voted to the Pro Bowl. He didn't put up the big numbers that he usually does, but he may have felt he got snubbed a little bit, wanted to come out today and prove something, and with a 200-plus yard day on the ground, I think he definitely did.
My favorite play of the game, Tom, was Sam White's up 40-20, decided to execute a pooch kickoff to try and roll it up a little more. It's very comforting to know that in the good old AFC Central, no matter how complex the playoff picture gets, one fact remains simple. Everybody hates each other. Chris?
You know what, Axe? They're lining up. The line forms around the block to play the Cleveland Browns, and it's the Cincinnati Bengals that have that honor next week. They win, and Pittsburgh loses, then the Bengals will win the conference. But in knocking out Warren Moon, the Bengals may have done themselves in because they need a Houston win to win the AFC Central. They'll have Cody Carlson, a quarterback for Houston, to try and beat the Steelers, not Warren Moon. So they may have won the battle, but they may have in the same process lost the war. The war in the AFC East between the Bills and the Dolphins coming up. But first, Warren Moon's season's over. He didn't break the record. He didn't get to 5,000, but it's the 5th highest passing season ever turned in by a quarterback. Pretty good list that Moon has thrown himself into. And in touchdowns, also tied for 5th best in the single season. Congratulations, Warren. It was winner take all just about, at least on Buffalo's side. If they beat the Miami Dolphins in Miami's first trip to Buffalo ever in December, and they play every year since 1966. If the Bills won, home field throughout the playoffs. Dolphins won today, won next week, they would get the same honor. And the question of Frank Reich at quarterback for the injured Jim Kelly. But to steal a song from Free, they were all right now. Baby They were all right now. And so did 80,000 fans at Reich Stadium thought so. Jim Kelly trying to give a helping hand on the sidelines. Frank Reich, see the guy behind him, Thurman Thomas? It's a good thing he was behind him. Reich wasted no time. The opening kickoff goes to the Bills. Reich puts it up to Keith McKellar, but the big tight end can't hold on. Third play from scrimmage. Reich to Thurman Thomas across the middle. Pick up at 15 yards, and Marv Levy told us this week he'd run the hurry-up offense with Reich. Marv doesn't lie. Reich to the white flash. Don Beebe nailed by Jarvis Williams, but it's a 14-yard pickup. 3 plays later at the Dolphin 27. Reich tries to scramble, but he fumbles. Was he jittery? The Dolphins recovered. Marv Levy had to wonder, Tommy.
You know, blocking Bruce Smith for that line was their #1 job. Richmond Webb got the task. The Pro Bowl rookie. He was successful on the day here. He works him inside, gets some help from Keith Sims, and Bruce Smith held without a sack all day.
And that protection helped Dan Marino engineer the best drive, certainly early, to Mark Clayton. Just back in the lineup, took some sticks today and was tough. Farrell Evans, Pro Bowl tight end, across the middle for 24 yards. Then on third down, watch John Hagee. It's called your clothesline of Tony Martin. They're going to call it a personal foul. It's going to keep Miami's drive alive. Don Shula watches his team on a nice 16-play drive. Pete Stoyanovich had hit 18 in a row from inside the 40. His 19th, no good. And we remain scoreless. The Bills, meanwhile, got a charge led by our Christmas greeter, Kent Hull, on the offensive line. Hull, the Pro Bowl center, blocking for Thurman Thomas. Runs behind Hull and Jim Richter. It's a gain of 11. Reich to another Pro Bowler, Andre Reed. It's a nice play that picks up 20 yards. And then Thurman Thomas.
Here he swings out of the backfield and takes advantage of Lewis Oliver's hesitation right there. Scampers upfield for a 22-yard gain.
This is a 13-play, 80-yard march for the Bills. Reich said they'd use everybody, including James Lofton. They did. He zips it, Lofton booms it past McKyer, and the Bills lead it 7-0. $1:21 to go in the first half. Miami has a chance, but Marino is picked by Clifford Hicks at his hot licks. Buffalo leads 7-0 at the half. Nothing went right for Miami to start the third quarter. Short kickoff by Scott Norwegian Wood, but it's fumbled by Mark Logan. Carlton Beetle Bailey recovers it for Buffalo. Right capitalized. Zips to Andre Reed. 14-0 Bills. Jim Kelly says, I don't have 14 fingers, but there's 10. Marino tried to keep Miami close. To Mark. Super duper with the great catch. Miami hanging tough. They were game today. They cut it to 14-7. But Frank Reich's numbers, 15 of 21. One of them, the bomb to Beebe of 44 yards, setting up a field goal, 17-7 Buffalo. And then, when the weather is frightful, it's Thermal Thomas. Thermal nuclear warfare. Thomas scores the touchdown, 24-7. Thomas running on the day, 154 yards on 30 carries. Miami scored a late touchdown, but it's party time in Buffalo. Bruce Smith says to fans, let's tear down the goalpost. I guarantee there'll be no beer consumed in Western New York tonight. Sure. Buffalo beat Miami 24-14, and they're home all the way through the AFC playoffs. Bruce Smith said, how sweet it is.
We've been ready the whole week to play them. I mean, we had coaches coming into the meetings, banging their heads up against lockers and fired up and ready to go. We had to tell a couple of our coaches, hey, you're not playing Sunday. You know, we got to play the game.
You coach for 40 years, you play about 3 or 4 games in your career that's like this, and this is one of them. I told Scott before the game that this is the most butterflies I had before an event since I was in the 2nd grade play for the PTA. I was a tree.
Marv and the folks in Buffalo have good reason to celebrate. Miami played a pretty good game, but Tommy, we talked about it on game day. There was a checklist here for the Bills.
Yes, and keeping that checklist, if it was a report card, Chris, the Bills made the honor roll today. It began with total dominance of the offensive line against the Dolphins' defensive line. That led to Reich being comfortable in the pocket and handling that pressure of the AFC's biggest game of the year. How he did it, he distributed the ball offensively. The first touchdown went to James Lofton, his second touchdown to Andre Reed, and in between he hit everybody else on the Bills squad. And oh yeah, a guy named Thurman Thomas, the best go-to guy in the NFL, accounted for those yardage that we saw rushing the football. He also put up another 29 receiving.
Axe?
Tom, you didn't learn all this fancy educational jargon at Louisville, did you? When I go to Kentucky, I read the racing form myself. You know why? It's full of excuses. Your horse is always bothered, forced wide, trapped on the inside. It's never your own fault. I looked at the Dolphins this way today. I looked at Mark Logan fumbling that kickoff at the start of the second half, a key play. Mark Duper, after his great catch, dropped a couple that hit him between the numbers. Lots of excuses for the Dolphins. But, you know, the simple conclusion, even in your halls of higher knowledge, I have to say the better team today won the game.
They could play again in the playoffs in January, and they got a 30-degree day in December. Might be 0 in January. Miami was very game today, but that one might be even a little bit tougher because Kelly is expected to be back now for that first playoff game. We go from the top of the AFC East to way, way down to the bottom of the list. The Jets and the Patriots. Two teams with long losing streaks. Which one would end? There's weird Sam Jankovic looking at his new team. But it wasn't pretty. First quarter. It's not Emerson Boozer. Blair Thomas running for the Jets against the Patriots. Hit a nice run, nice block by McNeil. And that sets up Johnny Hector touchdown run up the middle very quickly. The Jets lead at 7-0. And at the Meadowlands, the Jets fans were, it was balmy. It was nicer there than it was in San Diego today. Meanwhile, the Patriots were sputtering. On the punt, the Jets were offside. So, with the break, the Patriots get to attempt the field goal. And it's good for 47 yards out, but a false start by New England. So we'll punt it again. Brian Hansen was tremendous. The problem is he's the punter today. Second quarter, Tommy Hodson crushed. He never returned. That game plan gets scratched. Then Kenny O'Brien takes over, looking for not Wesley Walker, but it's number 85, Rob Moore, 14-7 Jets. O'Brien, 11 of 12 for 210. Pair of touchdowns. Right before the half, Freeman McNeil, the veteran, dives into the end zone. He had a pair of touches, 21-7 the Jets. Darrell Davis attacks Mark Wilson. Jets had 6 sacks today. Folks, it was an ugly game. Jeff Lageman was thrown out of the fight. He couldn't wait to leave. The Patriots have lost 13 in a row. The Jets win 42-7. When we return, we'll take a look at how Mike Tomczak handled the helm for the Chicago Bears in a tough situation for them. Was a teammate a couple of days ago. They were home today for Tampa Bay. Highlights of the late games. Thurman Thomas was the 6th running back picked in the 1988 draft. Went in the second round. The first 2 guys picked were Gaston Green and John Stevens. You add up their scrimmage yards, you add up Thurman's. Buffalo got a steal. Home than it was outside today at Soldier Field. That nice seasonal breeze coming off the lake. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in town against the Bears, Robin, and the Bucs. When the temperature falls below freezing, they fall even farther.
Yes, they do, but they had a good reason to get up for this game because they still had a shot at the playoffs going into this game. All they needed to do was win their last 2, have the Cowboys lose their last 2, and have the Saints just lose 1 of 2. The Bucs on somewhat of a roll. They've won 2 in a row, but it would be tough to beat the Bears on the road. The flags at Soldier Field flying at half-mast in memory of defensive lineman Fred Washington, killed Thursday in a car accident. The Bears dedicated the rest of the season to Washington. Mike Tomczak in for Harbaugh. Not shot early, missed first 5 passes, including this interception by Harry Hamilton. Hamilton takes it all the way to 32. Nick Ditka, as you can imagine, not too happy about that. But Vinny Testaverde right on target with a 6-yard pass to Mark Carrier. Tampa Bay, the quick 7-0 lead. On the defensive side, Keith McCants finally starting to play like a high first-round pick. Collars Johnny Bailey and smacks him with a frozen tundra. As for the Bears, all their luck, well, it was bad luck. Vinny picked off by Jim Morrissey, who takes it to the 2, but...
False start, 72 offense before the snap. There is no play.
The Bears fans hoping for some divine intervention, and they get it. Tied at 7, 4th and 1. Tampa Bay goes for it. Reggie Cobb stuffed short by Donnell Wolford, and with Neil Anderson out with a cracked rib, the Bears turn to Brad Muster, 3rd-year pro out of Stanford. Gained 143 total yards, including 47 on this hookup from Tomczak. From there, it's Tomczak to Wendell Davis. Makes the catch despite the pass interference. The Bears lead 14-7 at the half. Things would get worse for the Bucs. Vinny Testaverde looking for Mark Carrier. Instead, he finds Mark Carrier. He picked off 2 the first time they met this season. The rookie from USC with a league-leading 10 INTs. And the Bears offense keep it going. Tomczak finds tight end James Thornton with a 13-yard touchdown scoring play. The Bears lead at 21-7. They go on to roll 27-14, 12 fumbles in this game, below zero with the wind chill factor. Mike Tomczak completed 16 of 33 passes in his first start for 239 yards. Vinny, 9 of 11 for 111 yards on the day. The Rams and Falcons at Fulton County Stadium meant nothing as far as the playoffs are concerned. Nice time for the refs to get together for the holidays. Falcons trying to get together to break up a 7-game losing streak before the holidays. But it was Jim Everett giving out the early present, throws it right to Scott Case. He gets on up, gets some good blocking, and goes 35 yards for the diving score. His first career touchdown. Atlanta goes up 7-0. Meanwhile, prime time. Deion Sanders getting fired up for the holidays, but having some trouble. Fields the punt, but gets hit by Pat Terrell and falls on his face. And Deion has some daylight, but he fumbles the kickoff. But Deion wouldn't stay in syndication for long. He would return to prime time. Deion takes the kickoff, goes 50 yards. Yes, prime time. Stumbles on down, which sets up this. Thanks, guys. Mike Rozier with a big day. Barrels over Terrell for the 11-yard touchdown. Falcons up 20-10 at the half, but could they hang on? Falcons driving. Hugh Millen coughs it up. Mike Peel recovers on the 6. Falcons wouldn't score in the second half, so Everett with a chance to bring the Rams back, but Everett under pressure. Overthrows Pat Carter. Then Everett again. This time misses Buford McGee. Finally, Everett gets taken down by Tony Casillas. Long day for John Robinson and his team. Falcons defense holds on. They're excited, should be. They break a 7-game losing streak. Long day for Everett. 13 of 40, 171 yards on the day, and 2 interceptions. The Falcons win 20-13. Hugh Millen wins for the first time as an NFL starter, completing 13 of 21 for 178 yards. The Falcons snap their 7-game losing streak, just their 4th win of the season. The Rams' 10th loss, their first 10-loss season since 1981.
Yeah, it's has not been the way it was supposed to be drawn up in August for the Rams, or the Falcons either, for that matter. But no. Falcons can play spoiler in the last week. We will explain that in a moment, because next week they play the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is trying to get into the playoffs today with a win over the Eagles. It was a tough task. We'll show you how they did in a moment. You heard Robin mention the Mark Carriers. The 2 games between the Bears and the Buccaneers this year, Tampa Bay's Mark Carriers caught 6 passes from Tampa Bay quarterbacks. Chicago's safety Mark Carrier has caught 3 passes from Tampa Bay quarterbacks. The Dallas Cowboys, the bounty game. Yeah, there was a bounty on this one. A bounty for the Cowboys was a win, and they're in the playoffs. Bounty for the Eagles was they win this, they win next week, they'll host a wild card game against the Redskins. So, several recurring themes for the good friends Jimmy Johnson and Buddy Ryan. Teams love each other. Watch Daniel Stubbs, 96. Get out of here, Ron Heller. First quarter, 5 minutes into the game. Aikman to Emmitt Smith. Smith will fumble it out of bounds, but that's not Dallas's problem. Tommy, look at the replay. It's Clyde Simmons.
Troy Aikman back to pass, dumps the ball off here, Chris, and Simmons just drills him into the turf, separated shoulder, out.
He's out, and he's the 6th quarterback knocked out by the Eagles this year. Jeff George, Steve Grogan, Paris Skins, Anthony Dilweg, now Troy Aikman on the Eagles hit list. So gingerly trotted the Babe Lothenberg in as Troy Aikman left. The other quarterback, Randall Cunningham. Under pressure, the block from Heath Bar Sherman right there, and Randall runs this for 33 yards. It sets up something, but first let's take a look back this year. Against the Giants, game 1, Keith Byers, touchdown pass to Anthony Toney. Running back Byers. On November 11th, against the Skins, touchdown to Heath Sherman. Last week, against the Packers, touchdown to Anthony Toney. So guess what Byers is going to do in this game against Dallas? Throws it on the run to Calvin Williams. A touchdown across the body. Byers is the highest-rated quarterback in the NFL. He's 4 for 4 with 4 touchdowns. It's also a pretty good pass receiver, too. Randall Cunningham's a pretty good quarterback to keep Jackson. Oh, it's a pump up with those Eagles can dream up everything. Rumbling, bumping, stumping. Oh, by the time they finally pick the ball up and Calvin Williams dives on it, it's out of the 21-yard line. What a great play. Led to a field goal. It's 10-3. Dallas behind. Aikman returned to watch, and he watched the Sultan of 6, Babe Lothenberg. across the middle. Emmitt Smith for a first down. But the Bambino got careless. Across the middle, picked off by William Frizzell. Scampers down the sidelines. He's eventually called down right there, and Philly led it 10-3 at the half. Second half, the Babe, well, he learns about Simmons and Seth Joyner close up. Soon thereafter, similar play, same two guys. When he could pass, results weren't much better. Ben Smith makes the pick on the pass intended for Kelvin Martin. The other side of the ball, Randall Cunningham didn't have the best of days. Here he goes deep. He's going to be picked off by Robert Williams. So Randall's numbers on the day, only 144 yards, 2 interceptions. But his day was better than Babe Laufenberg's, who gets picked off by Eric Allen, and he can go. Oh, wait, look at Nate Newton wipe out half the cameramen right there. And it's 17-3 Eagles. Laufenberg stats. And at the end, one coach went this way, one coach went that way. The Eagles went the W way, and the Cowboys took the L. Philadelphia wins it 17-3, and afterwards, Eagle Ron Heller talked about how dirty the Cowboy players were.
I had defensive backs coming up to me telling me they're going to take my knees out. Well, who the hell are these guys? I don't, I've got nothing to do with them out on the field. I don't even know their names, and they're coming up and telling me they're going to cripple me and end my career and this and that. So,
I think this will really tell if we are a playoff team. We have to come back and we have to perform well, in order to beat the Falcons next week.
So Dallas still could get it if they win next week, but staying alive, the Saints, and we'll show you how they did as they upended the 49ers. We'll show you those highlights in a moment. Keith Byers now has taken the lead among active non-quarterbacks for touchdown passes. He has 5. Dalton Hilliard has 4. Marcus Allen has 3. Byers atop yet another list. We'll be back. Look at the Niners and the Saints in a moment, but the Giants, Phil Simms gone. Kind of strange there. They're not really saying how long he's gone. We just know that Jeff Hostetler's in.
But he may be a stranger to a lot of people as a starter, but Jeff Hostetler is no stranger to the Cardinals as a starter. In 7 years, 2 of his 3 starts have come against the Cards, including last season in Phoenix when he won 20-13 over the Cards. And remember, week number 7 of the season, the Giants at home against the Cards. Hostetler came in to rally the Giants from a 9-point deficit in the 4th. If you don't remember, that's okay. We'll show you. Week 7, Jeff Hostetler on for the injured Phil Simms. Giants down 19-17. Closing seconds, Hostetler hits Lionel Manuel. And that sets up, with no time remaining, time coming off, Matt Barr, 40-yard field goal, wins it 20-17 Giants, and Bill Parcells and the Giants escape with the victory today. Hostetler lead the Giants to victory in Phoenix. First quarter, Giants on the move on 3rd and 10. Hostetler has no one open, so he scrambles and gets the first down himself. That's set up by a Matt Barr field goal. Hostetler through the air hits Mark Ingram for a 24-yard gain to the 46-yard line. Rodney Hampton caps off the drive with a 1-yard run. It's 10-0 Giants. Giants fans in Phoenix, of course they love it. The Cardinals plotted a comeback. Tim Rosenbaugh hits Terrence Flagler over the middle for the score. It's 10-7 Giants, but Hostetler kept the Giants moving. 3rd quarter. Who does he go for? You know who it is, Chris. It's
Mark Ingram.
Thank you so much. Makes the grab, slides in for the end zone, 17-7 Giants. But on the first play after the kickoff, Rosenbaugh hits Ernie Jones, and Indiana Jones, they call him, over the middle, turns upfield, and he is gone, just outruns the G-men. 17-14, Giants still in the lead. Cards try to take the lead. Rosenbaugh's pass is picked off by Everson Walls, his 6th INT of the year. That led to this 4-yard touchdown scramble by Hostetler. He gets in. It's 24-14. The Cardinals wouldn't quit. Rosenbaugh can't find a receiver. And his pass is picked off by Dave Durson in the end zone. The Cards added a touchdown. It's 24-21 Giants. Rosenbaugh looked for the winning score with time running out, but LT takes him down. And the Giants win 24-21. The Giants receive a first-round bye in the playoffs. Some extra time for Sims to Hill. The third straight time Jeff Hostetler has come in to relieve an injured Phil Sims versus the Cards. The third straight win over the Cardinals. Let's check out the Saints and the Niners at Candlestick. The big story of the day, Joe Montana didn't start, didn't even suit up. Wanted to give Steve Young some playing time. And he found out he was going to play only an hour before game time. Young started off quick, 49ers first possession, runs for 5 yards, picks up the first down. Young goes to the air to Jerry Rice for 7 yards. Young then to Dexter Carter for 11 more. Young to John Taylor, who goes 20 yards, almost gets in, goes out at the 1. Tom Rathman goes in from there. His 7th rushing TD of the year. Niners on top, 7-0. Montana likes what he sees from his backup QB. Steve Walsh and the Saints were slowed down by a foreign substance on the ball. I think I know what it is. It could be Jim Burt spraying silicone on the jerseys of the defensive linemen. Well, that didn't stop Walsh on this drive. He can't find a receiver, so he takes it down, and he scrambles, runs 18 yards, his longest run of the year. Walsh finds Greg Scales in the end zone. 5-yard scoring play, 7-all, Tommy.
Robin, on the replay of the TD, defensive interference was called, but you see here Scales pushes Romanowski. Should have been called the other way, but the TD stood.
Yeah, play stands. Go to the second quarter. Dexter Carter runs up the middle, but he fumbles. The ball rolls around, and the Saints recover to set up a field goal to make it 10-7 Saints at the half. They do recover. Fourth quarter. Young back to pass. He finds Brent Jones. He's got it. But he fumbles. And the Saints recover. Turnovers hurting the 49ers. They had 6 on the day. 4:43 left. Morton Anderson. He's going to the Pro Bowl. Nails a 45-yard field goal. Little body English there from Jim Moore. Yes, it goes in. Saints 13-10. 49ers to receive the punt. Just over 2 minutes left. Eric Davis with the punt return. He takes it up to the 50-yard line. 47 seconds left. Ball on the 20. Dexter Carter. He fumbles the handoff. The Saints recover. Carter's second fumble of the day. The receiver couldn't be too happy about the results of this. The Saints pull off the upset. 13-10. Steve Young getting some playing time, and the Saints, as you have been saying, slim playoff hopes, but hopes nonetheless.
Well, if Dallas loses, then they have the last Monday nighter, and wouldn't that be an interesting New Year's Eve in New Orleans if they could get into the playoffs? And it is possible that an NFC playoff team could be 7-9. Chiefs were trying to make the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. They had to beat San Diego to do it. It was a tough order. First, 100-yard receivers. You saw a couple of them in the Phoenix highlights Robin just showed you. Roy Green and Indiana Jones leading the list. Todd McNair, the Chiefs. You see how good he was coming right up. We'll be back.
If you can't wait, you need the News Weekly of Motoring Auto Week. If you can't wait for driving impressions, get Auto Week. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them first. If you can't wait for car news, get Auto Week. Auto Week covers it all. The great old cars, the auto shows. Auto Week's columnists are controversial and fast. And if you can't wait for racing news, get the News Weekly of Motoring. Auto Week races to bring you the winningest coverage first. If you can't wait, get Auto Week, the News Weekly of Motoring, now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for a full year. 52 issues at the special TV price of $19.95. Just 38 cents an issue. Save $80 off the cover price. You've thought about it. Stop waiting. Do it now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for the News Weekly of Motoring.
Say Merry Christmas.
We'll say Happy New Year. That was Derek Fenner. This is Bobby Humphrey. Top of the hour. Seahawks hosting the Broncos. Kansas City Chiefs and San Diego Chargers. Really two mirror image ball clubs. Big backs, excellent defenses. Not a lot on the passing game, but when pressured, they can throw the ball. And the Chiefs were trying to pressure the Chargers to get into the playoffs. If Kansas City wins it, they're in. And they still keep a hope. They're AFC West title hopes. But with the injury on the finger to Steve DeBerg, would that hurt him today? Not really. DeBerg has had a tremendous year. Tough taking the snap, but he learned to do it. That was the Stephon Page. He was deadly accurate. Here he is to Page. Very quickly, it's a Kansas City touchdown. What injury? 7-0 Chiefs. Meanwhile, Billy Joe Tolliver wasn't so orthodox. What kind of a shot is that to Arthur Cox? But it worked. It's a shot put. And then the quick shovel pass to Ronnie Harmon. So Tolliver using his ingenuity. Not even Santa could draw up the plays that way. DeBerg continued his torrid pace. Hit on his first 8 throws. This one to Rob Thomas. Then watch here, Tommy, on the blitz. Safety blitz by San Diego leaves Todd McNair open. Catches the flare. Rolls in for the score. Big 21-7 Kansas City lead at the half. Steve DeBerg in the first half, 13 of 16. Forget the injuries. He's gutty. He wouldn't miss this shot to get the Chiefs in. But this hit by Gil Burns wakes up the lightning bolts. 30 yards downfield, Bert Grossman was the guy that left on the same play. He suffered fractured ribs. Marion Butts wasn't even in the game because of a sprained foot. And Rod Bernstein takes over. Looking to make the move at Kevin Porter, ball over Duron Cherry. Then he's going to impersonate Gary Anderson. Happy Hanukkah. Bernstein with the touchdown. It's 21-14, Kansas City. DeBerg gets cold. Overthrows J.J. the Animal Burton. The Chiefs' special teams. Let down here is Kittrick Taylor, rookie from Washington State. Makes them over the 50, and he go all the way. The punt return ties it at 21 apiece. But the game's biggest play, DeBerg from the end zone to Todd McNair, breaks 1, 2, 3, 4 tackles. With the stiff arm, he finally gets caught, but that play got the Chiefs out of the shadow of their own goalpost and set up the always reliable Nick Lowry for the 32-yarder 24-21 Chiefs. Last chance for Billy Joe Tolliver, but could not be a hero. Duron Cherry, his second pick of the day. Kansas City has made the playoffs for the first time since '86, and they beat the San Diego Chargers 24-21. They still have a shot at the AFC West, but they have to win, and the Raiders would have to lose. Barry Word had 106 yards rushing to lead the Chiefs, and our congratulations to Marty Schottenheimer, Carl Peterson, and all the gang with Kansas City. Axis next with some thoughts on the day. The first, 100-yard rushers, 300-yard passers. James Brooks was a 200-yard rusher. Thurman was a 154-yard rusher. Barry Word was a 100-yard rusher. They all won. As a matter, Steve Young ran for over 100 yards. He was the only guy that lost that had the C note today. Passing, just one. Tim Rosenball. It wasn't enough. We'll be back. The U-Log is already ablaze, so Axe, I'm sure you have some Christmas thoughts for us.
I do, Chris, but as it happens, there's a phrase you hear on racetracks around the world. You also hear it in the mafia social clubs where the good fellas hang out. I hear you might even hear it in corporate boardrooms, at least the few where honest people still dwell. And the saying will always endure, class tells. In key moments, the stand-up guys stand up. Character seeks its own level. And with the playoffs looming, the pressure mounting, this was that kind of day. A superb team beat a very good team when the Bills methodically crushed the Dolphins. They even marshaled that special quality that helps people rally around a backup quarterback at crunch time. A crippled team became a study in heart and courage when the bedraggled Bears, looking vaguely like Valley Forge survivors, somehow destroyed the younger, healthier Bucs. For an individual portrait in courage, try Steve DeBerg. His broken finger was excruciatingly painful. His calf, unsightly and cumbersome. But the Chiefs needed their game desperately. So, win or lose, Bergie played. The images of today call up ghosts of Christmas seasons past. Gino Marchetti, the noblest of old Baltimore Colts, breaking a leg and insisting on sitting on a sideline stretcher until his team had beaten the Giants in overtime to win a championship. Joe Klecko, an 18-wheeler amid flashy sports cars, hobbling to greatness while a puerile teammate danced to phony glory. Bobby Lane and Ken Stabler, with blood on their jowls and whiskey on their breath, throwing that last winning pass. You can put this in perspective by citing the opposite types, the losers who quit and run for the bus, like Cleveland and New England. But those teams shouldn't distract us today. Let's applaud the likes of Chuck Noll, up 35-0 early in the game. He circled the wagons and refused to run it up on the pathetic Browns. No ego there, just class. Don Shula and Marv Levy, no surprise that their hard-fought game ended with a warm handshake. But I also applaud Buddy Ryan and Jimmy Johnson, who brandished their mutual hatred by an emphatic non-handshake. No fakery, just a different kind of class. Stand-up guys, all of them. The kind of guys that you want to salute in the holiday spirit. Like all of you who have shared the fun of the season with all of us. Merry Christmas. Chris?
And we echo those sentiments, of course. And it will be a Merry Christmas for a bunch of teams in the NFL. This is the latest look at the playoff situation. Of course, we've already known in the NFC, 5 of the 6 teams. The Eagles win next week. They'll host the wild card game. The Niners are the 1 seed. Giants are the 2 seed. Bears will have to play the extra playoff game despite the fact they won their division. Who was up for the wild card berth? And then there were 2. Dallas wins, they're in. New Orleans wins and Dallas loses, the Saints are in. They both lose, Dallas is in at 7-9. Nice. Over in the AFC, Buffalo is home for the playoffs. Raiders win next week, they will win the West. If not, and the Chiefs win, they'll win the West. The Dolphins are a wild card team. The Central is all bundled up. Pittsburgh can win the division or be a wild card. Houston might win the division. Bengals could win a 3-way tie for the division. Seattle still alive. It would take a lot longer to explain. And here's someone who's trying to explain it to Chuck Knox. Chuck says, oh, we're alive? That's great. Thanks, Dan. We'll see you at the top of the hour. NFL primetime. Hey, Christmas night, when you're done with the eggnog and unwrapping the presents, a special 2-hour presentation. I know you'll enjoy it at 8 Eastern Time, the best of Sports Center 90. Game day, Saturday 11:30 for a half hour, Sunday at noon for the usual hour. Next Sunday, the game that may unravel the entire AFC Central. Steelers at the Oilers. That's next Sunday here on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Teams going to the playoffs with banged-up quarterbacks. Well, the Buffalo Bills, they're withstanding it because looks like Jim Kelly will be back, although Reich did beautifully. Warren Moon, he's now out. Phil Simms looks like he's out for the playoffs, so Hostetler's in. Troy Aikman is out, so the Cowboys try to clinch the playoffs with the Babe. And Mike Tomczak did fine for the Bears. Hey, everybody out at home, from all of us here and to all you guys here, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
The Bengals got their chance to move into playoff contention, while the Seahawks had their opportunity to scoop up a postseason berth as well. San Francisco